Hey, Cody. You know from my
Big fun, true believers. Time for you to get some knowledge. Before Disney owns your soul, you need to know this information. It's very important, and it's the only way Kevin Feige is not going to get you with his spoiler snipers.
Is this class starting early? I
Yes.
thought we were gonna have a few more seconds.
No, we are starting now. It is very important. It is Marvel.
Okay.
This is all of Marvel. I am not joking. This is all of Marvel. All of Marvel Comics.
Everything?
Everything important.
Pretty subjective on the thing.
It's pretty important till the end of all this. You'll figure it out. Yes.
When are we gonna get to Batman?
What flavor of Batman do you want? Do you want red Batman, patriotic Batman? Do you want
Classic, original.
emo? He's in the next class over.
I'll see you guys.
Nope. Kevin Feige owns your soul now.
Damn it.
So, Marvel Comics, a landmark of American pop culture that we all love. I love it a little bit more than most. So I'm going to be explaining to you all, the audience I have here and the audience at home watching this later on, the general everything of Marvel. If there's a dumb question you have wondered, I'm probably going to answer it in some way, fashion, and or form. But first things first, we need to get a little historical context, so to speak. So, American comics are a little bit weird in terms of how they are produced, how they're published, all that kind of stuff. In other countries, such as Japan, England, and other European nations, comics are published through magazine anthologies. But in American comics, they are published through what we call floppies, which are much more of like 30 to 40 page miniature magazines, yes.
Didn't we start off doing the magazine format here, though? Like, wasn't Fantastic Four originally a magazine with, like, prose stories and shit in it,
No.
too?
No, it did not start that way, because the way American comic books started was back in the 20s and 30s, there were a variety of comic strips and newspapers, and then some people had the idea of putting together in a small magazine called a funny book, comic book, and eventually they just started making original books in that, and the format just stuck. So we're just kind of stuck with it at this point in time. So all of these stories are told through 20 to 30 page miniature magazines over, at this point, let's say 70, 80, 90 years, almost 100 years. Marvel, the entity that could be considered Marvel Comics, has been around. It's almost 100 years old. It's fucking crazy. Yes.
Superman and Batman are about to have their 80th anniversary. I think that would make DC a heck of a lot closer to 100 than Marvel.
If you were considering the first issue of Marvel, which would have been like 1939, which had been about a year before Captain America, which was it might have been 1940 when the first issue came out, because 1941 Captain America came out, which was before America entered World War II. That's big. Because originally, they were not Marvel Comics. They were Timely Comics. Owned and published by a man named Martin.
Did they come out in a timely manner?
They had to at one point in time. They were published and owned by a man named Martin Goodman. He's a very important person. He's very important for the early years. And they published Marvel Comics #1. This is the first book that's considered part of the Marvel canon. It is the first appearance of the Human Torch. It is the first appearance of Namor the Submariner. And if you have recently watched Wakanda Forever, yeah, that's where Namor comes from. He's an old-ass character. And then in 1941, before America entered World War II, we had Captain America, created by two men, very important. We'll talk one about later, but the other is Joe Simon. He was a consummate editor at the time, very big writer. He floated around a lot of different publishers at the time. But that's just kind of timely. We got to talk about two men. One man is named Jacob Kurtzberg. Young artist. He did a lot of great things. He was a Jewish man from New York, very important. He was very in touch with his Jewish faith, very in touch with his Jewish ethnicity, all that kind of stuff. He had some work, so on and so forth, but then he got drafted into the U.S. Army, where he was a scout. Now, our compatriot here will probably understand what a scout is for the army. Yes.
Was this when Scout class costed $8, or is it like now where it's like $10 or $15 depending on the store?
These were priceless because a World War II scout went ahead into enemy territory alone, very lightly armed, to basically sketch out the map, the big landmarks for the rest of the platoon before they go forward. It was one of the most dangerous jobs in the U.S. Army at the time. Another man we need to talk about is a man named Stanley Lieber. He was 16 years old when he started working at Timely because he was the cousin to Martin Goodman's wife. So it wasn't necessarily nepotism, but it was, hey kid, here's a job, get yourself going, work the coffee, do all that kind of stuff. Eventually he did get some more experience. He did some backup stories. He did some fill-in stuff. And eventually he learned enough, he became an editor at Timely Comics. Yes?
If I remember correctly, he was offered the job because at like a family dinner or something like that, he expressed interest in becoming an author, like a novelist.
He always wanted to be an author, a novelist, that kind of stuff. He also entered World War II, but unlike Jacob Kurtzberg, he was in the Signal Corps, which was basically messaging, getting information across, but he was one of 9 individuals in the U.S. Army at the time to have the rank of playwright. Basically, they were the people who wrote the pamphlets, the PSAs, the videos, the instructions stuff for all the soldiers of like, don't stick your dick in crazy, wear a condom, here's how you fucking cook your food, all that kind of stuff.
Kill a person.
Yeah. One other person that was very actually notable for being also in that area was a man named Theodore Geisel, who you all will know as Dr. Seuss.
Really?
Yeah, Dr. Seuss was a part of that. There was other famous American authors who were in that section of the U.S. Army.
So we all know how racist Dr. Seuss is. Is Stanley Lieber racist?
No, we'll get into that. Because after World War II, Timely changed their name to Atlas. And superhero kind of fell out of fashion for them for a while. They tried to keep Captain America going by changing the direction of who he was fighting from Nazis to communists.
As you do.
It didn't go over well. Not a ton of people liked it. Not a ton of people enjoyed it. Especially not his creators. They didn't really enjoy what they were doing with them. So Jacob didn't immediately return to Timely. He did work for other people for a time. It was for a variety of reasons. It was money, the rights to the characters, and a distaste for what they did to Captain America. But Stanley Lieber did rejoin Atlas Comics. He wrote a bunch of romance and he wrote a bunch of things. Later on, Martin Goodman was with the main publisher of a competing rival company known as DC, Detective Comics.
Oh yes, Detective Comics, my absolute favorite.
They were having a golf game, and that publisher basically said, hey Martin, one of our stories is doing great. It's a team of superheroes, it's selling really well, it's called the Justice League.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the Doom Patrol.
No. Doom Patrol's actually later. Martin Goodman would go back to the comic place, Atlas, and basically told Stanley Lieber, you're going to make me a superhero team. Stanley Lieber hated this because he did not want to keep writing comics. He wanted to strike out, write some novels, do all that kind of stuff, so on and so forth. But his wife convinced him otherwise, basically saying, you want to quit, write whatever it is you want, and if they fire you, so well, we're going to quit anyway. Basically, give it a shot. Either way, you're going to get what you want. You're going to write what you want to get right, or you're going to leave.
She basically gave him the okay to take his dick out in public.
Yeah. But with a returning Jacob Kurtzberg, they created pretty much one of the biggest pop culture juggernauts as we know it. The Fantastic Four and the Marvel Universe.
Wait, it's not the Avengers?
No.
What?
The Avengers are pieces of shit compared to
The
Fantastic
Avengers
Four.
aren't the first superhero team in the Marvel Universe? Disney lied to me!
Disney lies a lot. So, we need to talk about some very important people for all of Marvel. And understanding who these people are can kind of lead us into understanding aspects of this world. So the first person we need to talk about is that man, Jacob Kurtzberg. I have an alarm. You all will know him better by his other name, his pseudonym, Jack Kirby.
Oh my god, I know who that is!
Flash everybody. Thank you.
I love how Cody's silent as the grave as I'm trying to be a fucker over here.
Yeah, Cody's gonna say something at one point, and it'll be hilarious.
No.
So Jacob Kurtzberg, Jack Kirby, also known as Jack the King Kirby. A lot of early Marvel artists. And
He's on the board there.
Yep.
Wait, does that mean
Jack the King Kirby?
that?
Hold on, no, we'll get to that in a moment. Basically, Jack Kirby is probably one of the most important comic book artists of all time, up there with Eisner. Really just very important. He is probably like, if you were to talk about a great comic book artist, you would have the guy who creates Tintin in Europe, you would have Tezuka from Japan, you would have Kirby in America. They're that important. Yes.
What about Shotaro Ishinomori?
He's second, so like sure. Jack Kirby co-created pretty much everything at Marvel, give or take a few characters, up until 1970. Then he left for the competition DC for a while.
And went home.
And then he came back in the late 70s, 78, 79, to create a bunch of more characters that are very important. We will get to them. But he is known for a variety of things, such as his leading men being very handsome, his tough guys all looking like cavemen, and drawing beautiful women. He had a very interesting art style. He also was one of the first people to really experiment with the comic book form.
He also just basically knew what all humans should look like from the sound.
Yeah. He also experimented with the comic book form by experimenting with collage for a lot of his comic book art, which creates wonderful abstract sci-fi universes, which we all love to this day and are trying to replicate in so many different ways. Another person we need to talk about is Stanley Martin Lieber, a.k.a. Stan the Man.
Oh my god! I know who that is!
Stanley is the other co-creator for most everything except give or take a few people in the early days of Marvel Comics. 9 times out of 10, if you see the name Stan Lee, you will also see the name Jack Kirby. They are they're Lennon McCartney of Marvel, yes.
What about Steve Ditko?
We will get to that. That's why I say give or take. So, Stan Lee wasn't just a writer. He was the editor-in-chief from about 45 to 72. He was the head honcho of Marvel. He was the big dog. He also wrote a variety of columns at the end of books called Stan's Soapboxes, where he gave and pontificated about contemporary issues, civil rights, yes.
Given that Martin Goodman exists, would you say Stan Lee is the Vince McMahon or the Triple H of Marvel?
Neither. Vince McMahon, Triple H might be a better apt because he got into the position he was in because of work and effort, and not just because he bought the company like Vincent Kennedy McMahon. People always forget Vincent McMahon didn't inherit WWE, he bought it.
Yeah, his dad didn't want him to have it, and then he made an offer he couldn't refuse.
So we have Stan Lee, we have Jack Kirby, and then we have what I will affectionately call the dispute. In comic books, there is an argument that essentially Stan Lee overemphasizes the amount he contributed to the early days and creative process of Marvel Comics. and that many people say that Jack Kirby should be given more or sole responsibility for their creation, so on. My personal opinion, because we need to understand so you all have a baseline of what I'm talking about, is that it was 50-50. It was give and take. It was them working together, and then after the creation, that's when things can get a little bit more fluid. Sam may have an idea for a story, Jack may have an idea for a story, and they will work together to execute the story. The creation, I feel, is very important that it was 50-50, mainly due to the fact, as we talked about Jack Kirby having left Marvel Comics for a while, he went on to create a variety of characters at DC known as the New Gods and the Fourth World. And if you read the New Gods and the Fourth World, it is incredibly dry. It did not succeed in the way that Marvel Comics succeeded in, and the way things are written and explored was very different than the way things were written and explored in Marvel Comics. Showing to me, at least, that Stan Lee had a major impact and influence for how we experience these books. Yes.
If I remember correctly, Jack Kirby wanted to introduce the New Gods to the Marvel Universe after killing off the Norse gods, like Thor and all that.
Yes, that is accurate. But Marvel vetoed that idea, and with other mounting disagreements, so on and so forth, Jack left. Jack did come back and create several characters, such as the Eternals, we'll talk about them, and Devil Dino and Moon Boy. But that's for later on. He did come back semi-begrudgingly. It's just nowhere else to work, sadly. But
Who's texting you, Professor?
I have notes for what I'm talking about.
Oh.
But that's kind of my opinion. It was pretty 50-50 once the creation was done, and they just started telling stories. Then it was a little bit more fluid. It might have been more Jack at that point in time. And there are certain characters that both men full-heartedly agree were created by Jack Kirby, one of those characters being the Silver Surfer. That it was 100% a Jack Kirby creation, and Stan Lee would never argue that. Yes.
Isn't the Silver Surfer Stan Lee's favorite Marvel character?
Yeah, it is Stan Lee's favorite character. He just didn't create him.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to make sure you got that fact in there.
So other important people that we need to talk about, because Stan Lee and Jack Kirby basically made Marvel in the 60s. So what about later on? So we have Stan Lee's protege, kind of the person who became the Stan Lee after Stan Lee, a man named Roy Thomas.
Oh, I'm not going to do it for you.
Okay, cool. Thank you. He was Stan Lee's protege. He became the main editor after Stan Lee kind of became like the big boss man and started doing a lot of promotional work. Roy Thomas basically made Marvel in the 70s with characters such as Ghost Rider, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and Morbius.
So he made the good characters.
He made the fun characters. He made everyone's favorite B-listers. Very important. It laid the groundwork for a lot more things, and it gave Marvel a different kind of flavor and tone. Yes.
Have you talked about Spider-Man yet, and I just missed it?
We haven't mentioned Spider-Man yet. I should go back real quick. We have Steve Ditko. He helped co-create two characters that are very important for Marvel Comics, and that's kind of it. He made he created Doctor Strange, and he co-created Spider-Man. Spider-Man is very important. He's Marvel's Mickey Mouse. My opinion on the Steve Ditko thing is he definitely overinflated how much input he had, mainly due to the fact his opinion that he was much more of a big co-creator of Spider-Man hinges on the fact that he designed the costume and the looks for a lot of the characters. And in my opinion, a lot of Spider-Man is not the character, not the costume, it is the dialogue, which is very much Stan's wheelhouse. Spider-Man isn't the costume, it's not the mask. It's with great power must also come great responsibility.
Wow, Professor, way to stand up for artists' rights.
Stan Lee's also an artist.
True.
He's a writer. But he also co-created Doctor Strange. Steve Ditko, however, was immediately immensely dissatisfied with working at Marvel. He left. He did go work for DC for a while, creating characters such as the Creeper. He went on to different company. What was it called? It wasn't Fawcett. It was Charleston. Charleston Comics. He co-created Blue Beetle. Well, a reimagining of Blue Beetle and The Question. and Peacemaker. No, did he make Peacemaker?
I don't think he made Peacemaker.
He didn't make Peacemaker. He created a bunch of characters there. They went under DC. He did a bunch of things, and he kind of became a hermit in New York. That's Ethan. So the next person we need to talk about, yes.
What about Mr. A?
Mr. A can go suck an A.
Hey.
Next up, we have Chris Claremont. Chris Claremont. Okay, do you know the X-Men?
Yeah.
You can thank Chris Claremont.
Okay.
Because basically, the X-Men was...
Thank you, Chris Claremont.
The X-Men were a creation by Jack and Sam, like many things were, but it failed. The book was canceled, and then with a reimagining by some people later on, and a new comic book costume change for some characters, Chris Claremont came in and basically defined the X-Men for everyone. Characters he created include Jubilee, I believe, Gambit, a lot of fucking characters. Like, name a character. New Mutants, all the New Mutants. He created Ileana. He created Magic. He created a bunch of things. He defined Wolverine as we know him, yes.
When are you going to talk about Ileana Rescue?
We'll probably talk about her later in Krakoa.
Sick.
But yeah, Chris Claremont, very important. He defined a lot of the X-Men, and people still use a lot of his material today to iterate on and go forward. Another man we need to talk about. This man's not a writer. This man's an editor. He is a very important editor. He is probably one of the most important editors Marvel ever had. His name is Jim Shooter.
Fuck that guy!
Fuck that guy, but also thank that guy because essentially he defined Marvel in the 80s. He kept a tight ship. He made their continuity was kept in line. He kept the artists and the writers on time. Books were published when they needed to be. Everything was organized. And he is the writer for one of the more important stories in Marvel history, the original Secret War. He is the writer for the original Secret War. We will get into that, but basically it was an event that had a bunch of heroes in it to sell a toy line. Yes.
Isn't it Secret Wars, plural? Isn't Secret War a separate thing?
Yes, it is Secret War. Secret War is a different thing involving Latveria. However, he did leave Marvel, and he went on to find a comic book company called Valiant. Which, I'm trying to remember some major...
What?
Valiant, Bloodspot...
What?
A bunch of... It's Harbinger...
What?
Alright, whatever. Fuck you. Next man we need to talk about. Jim Starlin. Jim Starlin basically defined the cosmic universe of Marvel for most everyone. He did not create Thanos, but he was very... No, he created Thanos. He did not create Adam Warlock, but he was very protective of characters. He loved them. He used the Infinity Gems extensively, and if you saw Endgame and Infinity War, that was basically ripping on everything Jim Starlin wrote.
He was like a consultant on those movies. Right?
He was a consultant on those movies. He is very important for that area of Marvel Comics, which is a lot of space opera, alien stuff. He's very important, all that kind of stuff. He did do some other things, including a very important story called Death of Captain Marvel, which impacts the emotional sphere of Marvel to an extent. It's an important... I keep saying important. It's a notable book just for a variety of factors, yes.
How much of this is going to be important?
It's all important. Okay. These guys are a little less important, but they need to be talked about. Yes.
Will there be a test?
The test is when you go see a Marvel movie, if you point at the screen and go, I know that, that's a test.
Okay, so you're saying when we see Wakanda Forever tomorrow, I need to constantly be going, oh my god, I know who that is!
Yes! Live in the theater.
Sick.
In front of everybody.
I will definitely
have fun watching the movie for 5 minutes.
So people we need to talk about, they're just under kind of one label. They're called I'm calling them the Image Boys. It was a group of artists, such as Todd...
Image Boys sounds like a boy band.
Such as Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld. They were very important, very prominent artists at the time. They were very well loved. They sold a lot of books. And they went, fuck you, Marvel, we're going to go sell books on our own.
Can you Photoshop the Image Boys dressed as Instinct for the lecture right now?
I can try. Here it is.
Wow.
Yeah. It's in post, don't worry. We also have Jonathan Hickman. The best way to put it is Jonathan Hickman is like today's Stan Lee. He lays a lot of groundwork that other people play with and other people expand upon.
Or other people completely ignore.
Other people do completely ignore Jonathan Hickman's work, but Jonathan Hickman does a lot of good things. He wrote a very big Fantastic Four storyline. He wrote a very big Avengers storyline. He wrote a thing called The Incursions. We will get to that. And he wrote the second Secret Wars, the important Secret Wars. The more important Secret Wars. And then we have a guy named... Yes?
I think it would be more accurate to say the important in continuity Secret War.
Yeah.
The original Secret War. Like, it has an impact, but it's more historically...
It's metatextually important.
Yeah.
The second Secret Wars is continuity importance. We will get to that there. Another man we need to talk about is Al Ewing. Al Ewing basically is the current Jim Starlin. He's going through all of the cosmic continuity stuff, making things, laying the groundwork, expanding, retconning, making things streamlined, but with a lot of branches that people can use.
He gave Galactus a hot mom.
He gave Galactus a hot mom. He's been doing a lot with Blue Marvel, which is a really cool character. We'll talk about him. Yeah, Al Ewing's doing a lot of interesting things in the comics. Yeah, so that's kind of like the big dogs that we need to understand, but some other people we need to know about. Grant Morrison, they are a comic books writer. They did a lot of things with X-Men that a lot of people love and a lot of people use, including characters such as No Girl, currently Cerebrum, and a sentient virus that makes people racist against mutants called Sublime. I am not kidding. That is a thing. We also have Alex Ross. Alex Ross is a beautiful comic book artist. He makes beautiful art, very semi-photorealistic. However, he got his start at Marvel with a book called Marvels with Kurt Busiek, which basically kind of retold the first 5-10 years of Marvel Comics as a singular story.
It's the New Frontier, but for Marvel.
It's New Frontier, but for Marvel, but then he left Marvel for a bit. He went to DC. He co-created the seminal work Kingdom Come, which was heavily inspired by Marvels. So, and then Marvel went like, we need that, and they made Earth X. Whoa. Well, we're not talking about Earth X.
Why not?
Because then we have to talk about Celestial Eggs.
Aren't Celestial Eggs going to be important to the MCU?
It's the MCU, but not to this. Celestials don't lay eggs.
You're trying to prepare people for important MCU developments here, aren't you?
Celestials don't lay eggs.
I think he's just trying to educate people on different Marvel characters so they're not completely left in the dark and like, Google Moon Knight Marvel ?
Yeah.
Oh.
Another person we need to talk about, Frank Miller. Anything Daredevil, it pretty much kind of came from Frank Miller.
Would it be accurate to say Daredevil was not a character until Frank Miller got to him?
It's not inaccurate. Frank Miller did do a lot for Daredevil. He basically did all the ninja stuff. He made Stick. He made Elektra. He made...
Damn, dude, he made a branch.
Stick is Daredevil. Yeah. He also made Bullseye, I believe. I think he did. I think either he made Bullseye or he refined Bullseye to what he is, which is the psychopath. Yes.
Do you want me to fact check that?
Oh, we can fact check that real quick.
I mean, you could...
No, I'll do it later.
Yeah, put it in post.
The other guy we need to talk about, Dan Slott. I'm not a big fan of Dan Slott, but he did do one of
Fuck that guy!
he did do one of my favorite Silver Surfer runs. So it's kind of even now. He's okay. It's fine. He did do Superior Spider-Man, which was Dr. Octopus' brain inside of Peter Parker's body being Spider-Man. Yes.
When are you going to talk about Takuya Yamashiro?
Never. Fuck! Another guy we need to talk about, Brian Michael Bendis.
Fuck that guy!
Currently, yes. When he started, really big breath of fresh air. He created the New Avengers, which was an Avengers team made of Wolverine and Spider-Man and Luke Cage and the Sentry and Spider-Woman.
Warpath not on that?
Warpath was not on that. Warpath had been dead since the 80s. He's only recently come back to life. Yes.
When are you going to talk about Jessica Jones?
Right now, Jessica Jones was also on the team somewhat. That's also one of the major characters he created. She's a private eye with superpowers.
Am I getting that confused with like the B team of Avengers?
Yes, that's what comes with Avengers.
Okay.
Yes.
When are you going to talk about Miles Morales?
And when we talk about the incursions.
Cool.
Next we have Donny Cates. Donny Cates is kind of like up there with Al Ewing and messing with Marvel's the cosmic stuff.
Hey,
Yes.
fuck that guy, but like, fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck that guy. He's a handsome man. Donny Cates is a handsome man. Donny Cates did some work for Doctor Strange. One of his more important works recently was basically completely rewriting Venom and his mythos. We will be talking about that.
Sick.
And he's currently writing Thor, and he's currently writing Hulk. I'm a fan of his Hulk run. Fuck off, people who are upset.
Which Hulk run is on?
It's Spaceship Hulk.
Oh, okay.
Starship.
Starship Hulk. It's fun. It's a guy playing with action figures. Yes.
May I take off my shoes?
Yes. Oh God, they smell horrible.
Die, bitch.
Don't pour the Dr. Pepper while he has his shoes off. It'll pull the smell in there.
Oh no, Dr. Peter.
No, just.
All right, we'll get into the next person in a second while I sit down. Oh God, murder me. There we go.
Maybe later.
Okay. We have Chip Zdarsky. Chip Zdarsky hasn't done.
Definitely fuck that guy.
Yeah, Chip Zdarsky hasn't done anything super major to continuity, but he's a really good writer. He's done a lot of good things, and he's like the contemporary for Frank Miller for Daredevil. Like he's really doing a lot of interesting things with the character. Daredevil's an important character for Marvel metatextually, but not Marvel continuity. Yes.
Isn't he also writing DC's Daredevil ripoff right now too?
Yes, he is writing Batman, and I think he is the first writer to write Daredevil and Batman at the same time. That's a weird occurrence in American comic books. If you write Batman, you are often going to write Daredevil at one point in your life. They're just very similar characters. Frank Miller's done it. I think Mark Waid has done it. Brian Michael Bendis has done it.
Tom King hasn't done.
Tom King hasn't done it, but also Tom King's exclusive to DC Comics.
Tom King, write a Daredevil run. I want to see that.
Another person we need to talk about, G. Willow Wilson. G. Willow Wilson is a co-creator for a character called Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel is genuinely one of the most important characters created in recent times. Fun character, Muslim girl with stretchy fun powers. We have Mark Millar, who...
Fuck that guy!
Yeah, he wrote a couple of very big, important continuity heavy stories in the early 2000s that are very important, need to be mentioned. So yeah, Mark Miller. There he is. We also have Matt Fraction. To what Frank Miller is for Daredevil, Matt Fraction is for a character called Hawkeye. Completely redefined the character, changes it, makes it very contemporary, makes people love the character, interested in the character, so on and so forth. Yes.
When are you going to talk about Kate Bishop?
Right now, he co-created Kate Bishop.
Sick.
We also have a man named Bob Budiansky. Now, if you're a Transformers fan, you know that name. Bob Budiansky created a lot of the characters and character bios for Transformers, but he was an editor for Marvel. Yes.
When are you going to talk about the Marvel and Hasbro partnership?
Right now, I guess. Hasbro licensed Marvel to make comic books in the 80s.
They also currently make the Marvel action figures.
They make Marvel action figures, but like that's more of a later thing and not related to the 80s stuff. But Bob Budiansky basically was an editor for Marvel. He did some fill-in issues. He wrote some stuff. And if we're talking about Marvel continuity proper, he co-created a character called Sleepwalker.
Who is that?
This boy.
Oh, damn. He looks hot.
Yeah, he's great. I love Sleepwalker. But that's kind of all he did for Marvel continuity. He's just important because he's a very backstage kind of guy, very much an editor. He was the main editor for Spider-Man for a while. So, like, if you know Spider-Man, he's important. Neil Gaiman has done a ton of in-continuity work for Marvel, mainly because Neil Gaiman likes to work with books that are kind of like self-contained, that kind of thing. But he did write The Eternals. Basically completely rewriting them from the ground up in terms of tone, and his work on the Eternals is basically what informed the movie that came out. Alan Moore didn't do a ton of things for Marvel, but he did one thing that's very important for Marvel, is he created the multiverse numbering system. Yes.
Isn't he crazy?
He's crazed. But yeah, so when we say Marvel 616, 199999, 1610, Alan Moore created the foundation for that in Captain Britain.
How does that work, generally?
They just come up with a number and say that's the universe.
So there's no, like, a system to properly keep track of it other than a fan wiki?
Yeah, really, that's kind of it. It's just meant to be more like a fun little thing. The reason why Marvel 616 is called 616, however, is because the number of the beast being 666 is actually a mistranslation. The original number of the beast is 616. That's why Marvel said, because it's Alan Moore being a little tricky dick.
So this is all about devil worship.
Yes, we will talk about Mephisto later. Yes.
Why aren't you giving me demerits for not raising my hand?
Because fuck you.
Damn.
That's your demerit.
Okay.
Kurt Busiek. Kurt Busiek didn't create a ton of characters as far as I'm aware. He probably did co-create several characters. But he was a major writer for Avengers in the late 90s. And he created a team called the Thunderbolts, which is going to be an MCU property soon. But the original Thunderbolts was basically a bunch of bad guys pretending to be good guys in order to get one over on the American public.
You're talking about the
original Thunderbolts.
Captain America looking guy in the mask Thunderbolts, not the
Yes.
Ross Thunderbolts. So
Yes.
is that the same thing? They continue to be the same thing?
They're just technically the same team, but it's two different concepts.
Thunderbolts is like a name that they just keep throwing on things like Avengers.
Yeah. So the original Thunderbolts was a bunch of villains pretending to be good guys, and some of the villains went like, hey, I like being a good guy. That's fuck being a bad guy. The second Thunderbolts is basically Marvel Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of anti-heroes going on dangerous missions.
And that's what they're doing in the movie, right?
Yeah, that's what they're kind of doing with the movie.
I got a lot of those comics in store.
Yeah. And the last guy on this list we need to talk about is Peter David. Peter David basically wrote Spider-Man and the Hulk through the 80s and the 90s. Yes.
I just want to say, his Supergirl run sucks ass!
Fair enough. His Spider-Man runs and Hulk runs are celebrated. He created Professor Hulk. He wrote a majority of the stories of Black Suit Spider-Man. And he wrote... no, that was J.M.D. Mateus. Never mind. J.M.D. Mateus is also important. He wrote Raven's Last Son. So, that's it for real-world knowledge that you need to know to bring into this. It's just people, because I'm going to say some of these names of who wrote these stories, and just so you know.
Oh, you're not done?
No, we're not done. We're about to start the actual in-universe show.
That was just the prep work.
That was prep work.
Wow.
So, minor vocabulary lessons. So we're all on the same page when we're talking about content. So first things first, the universe is a place within the multiverse. It is a over-encompassing area. It is 616, 1610, MCU. It is a major...
I think you said 616 twice.
Fuck off. Until a person wearing a goddamn Union Jack shows up in the MCU and says, oh, by the way, this is your number. It is not fucking canon.
That's all I want Captain fucking Britain to do when he shows up in the Marvel Universe in the fucking movies now. He just shows up, and it's like a huge stunt cast, too. They get, like, John Hamm to wear the costume, and he just goes, this is 1610. Fuck you, comic readers, and
No,
MCU
is 199999. That's what the MCU universe is. That's what it still is on the Marvel Wiki, and Marvel Wiki is fucking canon. I'm not kidding. Marvel comics themselves in official publications refer to the Marvel Wiki temporary reality number when talking about realities that do not have an official number. And the TRN is a fan-made designation. Yes.
Does Kevin Feige read the Marvel Wiki, though?
He should. So, that's what the universe is. It's a major place in the multiverse. A dimension is about the same size as of reality, but it is not a designated place in the multiverse, and it's often attached to a universe within the multiverse.
So universes and dimensions aren't the same thing?
They're not, for the sake of this lecture, they're not the same thing. So, like, a universe is 616. A dimension is the dark dimension. The dark dimension is just as big as reality in 616, but it's not an individual part of the multiverse. It is attached to 616.
So, like, other universes could have their own dark dimension?
Other universes have their own dark dimension. Other universes have their own negative zone. Some of them may not even have a dark dimension or a negative zone. It's not a guarantee. So they're attached to a universe. They're just as big. They're very important. Yes.
What's the negative zone?
We'll talk about the negative zone later. We will talk about it. It's important. I'm just saying for the sake of this. Limbo is also a dimension. Yes. We're definitely going to talk about it. That's why I mixed it. And beneath dimension is a place we will call a realm. A realm is like a dimension, but smaller. It is a pocket universe. It's like the size of a planet. Or several planets that are connected. A realm is like Asgard.
But I thought Asgard and the other realms were just other planets out in space.
You cannot fly a spaceship to them. That's what.
But the movie said
the movie can lie.
I didn't think the movies flew to Asgard.
No, you use the Bifrost.
Yeah.
Which is an Einstein-Rosen bridge.
What?
Einstein-Rosen bridge is a concept in physics that's basically like links two areas of space-time together.
Okay.
You fold space and they touch penises.
When was it established that that's what the Rainbow Bridge is, though?
They have established it in the comics a couple times, and they established that in Thor 1.
Was that like Tony or Reed making that up?
No, that was Jane Foster.
Damn.
In Thor 1, Jane Foster is talking to Thor, and they're explaining what the
Oh, in
Bifrost
the
is.
movie!
Yeah, in the movie. In the comics, they just talk about it. It's like, oh yeah, that's an Einstein-Rosen bridge.
Okay.
So, that's the vocabulary. And now just one major concept you need to understand about Marvel is that the Marvel Universe is cyclical. So the Marvel Universe we know of it today is actually the 7th iteration of this universe. There have been 6 previous, all iterating on each other until we got to now. Basically, a universe will start, expand, and then go through the Great Crunch, like we know in physics, shrink, and then Big Bang, expand again to a brand new universe.
It's my favorite Power Rangers Zeo song, Big
Yeah.
Bang.
It has happened about 7 times now. Each time is a little bit different. We will get into them. But I just want you to know that concept. So that's the general concept. Now we can talk about each one. So we'll talk about the first one, which is known as the first firmament. It is a cosmic abstract being, which is basically a sentience that can kind of... Imagine if gravity could talk. The concept of light could talk to you. That's what an abstract being is.
I don't know.
Oh, you don't. If you are about to talk to one of these beings, you know shit is fucked. So the first firmament is a guy, kind of a dick. He's a sentience, he's a being, he's a person. Kind of a dick. He was the only thing in existence. He was lonely. So he created basically some friends known as the Celestials. That's where the Celestials come from. Just a dude with like, I'm lonely, friends. There are actually 2 kinds of Celestials. There is the Celestials, and then there's the Aspirants.
The what?
The Aspirants. Aspirants. Aspirants.
So the new ones that showed up recently?
No. They're older. But they kind of are related. So, what is a Celestial? A Celestial is a cosmic being not unlike a god. They can control matter, they can control energy, they can create, they can just make things whole cloth. Just make things wholesale, all that kind of stuff. The Celestials wanted to create, make things, see it grow, see it change. They just wanted to see what happens. The Aspirants, however, were like, nah, fuck that shit. Let's just sit here and praise the dude who made us. Let's just worship him. Like, don't make anything, don't grow, just like, boom, that guy. The Celestials thought that was bullshit and painted themselves multicolored and were like, alright, fuck you. And basically destroyed the first firmament and many of the spherents to create materials to make a new universe. The first firmament did flee. It did survive, so it left and went to an outer world outside of concept and reality. You're going to hear this a couple times. But the remaining Celestials took the energy and the materials and all that stuff and created what is called the second cosmos. These universes can roughly be called cosmos. Yeah.
I hate that. Neil deGrasse Tyson is such a dick.
Yeah. So the second cosmos is also the first multiverse. Because things can grow and things can change, every iteration of possibility becomes its own universe. So second cosmos, first multiverse. It was raw creation. It was just raw energy of possibility. Nothing really in it. As such, the sentience of that wanted to experience all it could as fast as it could. So realistically, it only lasted a couple millennia. It was just like did and died. It was just real quick, real sudden, just raw energy. What remains of the sentience goes to a beyond realm of that kind of area, and some of the energy is used to create other pocket outside of realities, such as the home of the Beyonders, who we will talk about in a moment. We will talk about the Beyonders. Its death also probably led to the creation of the concept of vibranium. Which is a very important metal we will probably talk about later. But if in case you don't, vibranium is a metal that can absorb vibrations and expulse vibrations, yes.
You just brought up the concept of death. When did the person death start being a thing?
Kind of every iteration. Death is an abstract being as well. So they kind of just show up with each one. Death may also just be one entity that kind of travels through. As we will see throughout these, the Celestials that we see in the comics today are the same Celestials from the very first. They don't die. They just kind of get reborn. They don't really just age. They just are. They are.
They just reset. They New Game Plus.
Yeah, and Celestials like to live within the universe itself. That's why the Beyonders were created. We'll talk about the Beyonders later on. And the personification of the second cosmos went to a place called the Far Shore. And that's basically a retirement home for sentient universes. That's kind of where they go. So the third cosmos, the second multiverse, happens after the death of the second one. This is the first time when things start happening. This universe, big thing is... No. This universe is important because this is the first time a concept. The concept being good versus evil. So, two beings are the only things that exist in this universe. The Lifebringer 1 and the Anti-All. Lifebringer 1 wants to help the Celestials bring life into existence, do all that kind of stuff. The Anti-All is darkness, hate, just hates everything. Yes.
Didn't Linkara make a webcomic about that guy?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. Anti-All is also from the Below Plates, which is an important place we will talk about later when we talk about gamma radiation and the Immortal Hulk. The universe ended with Lifebringer 1 defeating the Anti-All and filling the void of space with his own light. So that universe ends, shrinks, makes a brand new universe. We're now in universe in Cosmos 4, fourth Cosmos. The sentience of this cosmos is also known as the Pilgrim and the Queen of Nevers. I'll explain that in just a moment. This is the third multiverse, and this is the home of beings called the Archetypes.
The Queen of Nevers is my new dragon name.
Okay. But this is the home of the Archetypes. Okay, imagine the fact that we just talked about good and evil. Make it a bunch of different versions that explore aspects of good and evil. It's the man who wants to do good for good's sake. It's the man who puts a suit of armor. And a lot of the archetypes are the basis of what would eventually become the heroes and villains that we know in Marvel Comics today. They are abstracted. They are beings such as, hold on. You have beings known as the 1 and 4, the 4 is 1, of stars, of violence, aim true, of below, of vengeance, of storm, small is big, of justice, of strength, of sun, big is small, of past, of future, of sky, never open, could be you, all is lost, all is one, what must be, what can be, watch all, of fire, of earth, could be we, be all, and the all king.
Now you're just making shit up.
All of those are kind of references to major Marvel characters we know, but they're archetypes. It's concepts. It's a man who can become small. It's a man who can become big. It's 4 people in one body. It's one concept in 4 people. It's justice. It's vengeance. It's raw concept that eventually would be refined later on in the 7th Cosmos.
What is vengeance as in D?
As like Ghost Rider and Punisher. Like,
Who are they?
we'll talk about them in a moment. But it's basically the universe complexing good and evil. What is good and evil? What is truly good? What is truly evil? So on and so forth. And the conflict.
So like
of
Mr. Rogers and Jeff Bezos.
To an extent, yes. The personification of the 4th Cosmos, just kind of wanted to keep exploring. So she didn't go to the retirement home of sentient universes. She kind of just like peeked into the next universe, and it's just kind of floated around, just observing, keeping an eye on things, watching.
When are you gonna talk about singularity?
I'm not.
I would have expected. She's a cosmic being.
But yeah, basically, the 4th Cosmos ended, and they journeyed into mystery to see what would be, what could be, so on and so forth. What is mystery? This is the area outside of the cosmos. It's the bubble around it. This is where the Beyonders live. The Beyonders are basically the gardeners of the cosmos. They keep an eye, observation outside of reality and kind of prune and shape as it needs to be as the Celestials go hog wild making things.
So they're like the Q collective for Marvel.
To an extent. But basically, they help maintain and manage the cosmos. This is also where the White Hot Room is. This is the home of the full Phoenix Force. What we know as the Phoenix Force in the comics is more often just an aspect of it, not the full Phoenix Force. We'll talk about the Phoenix Force a little bit later. Yes.
What would have happened if Jean got the full thing?
Unless she was in the White Hot Room, probably died.
Damn.
We also have the House of Ideas. This is basically where stories are. This is destiny. This is reality. This is what will happen. This is what could happen. This is then. This is now. This is forever. All that kind of stuff.
It's WWE.
Yes. And we also in this world, reality, in this realm is not realm. In this outside of dimension, is a being called the One Above All. This is kind of where they are. The One Above All is kind of anything and anywhere. The One Above All is essentially the ultimate power in the Marvel Comics. He is the end-all, be-all, strongest thing in the world. He is reality itself. He is destroyer. He is creator, everything. Yes.
Isn't the One Above All like just an excuse for writers to do self-insert all
Yes.
Grant Morrison animal?
Yes. That if you see an author in a book talking to a character going like, hey, what's up? That's the One Above All. Oftentimes, One Above All is portrayed as Jack Kirby, though he has also been portrayed as other people. Oftentimes, multiple people at once, referencing the idea that Marvel Comics is created by multiple people. And in fact, Donny Cates has been representative of the One Above All at one point in time. That was when he was talking to Cosmic Ghost Rider. Yep. We'll talk about Cosmic Ghost Rider in a bit. Yes.
If the One Above All appeared to Spider-Man and or Doctor Strange, would it be Stan Lee or Steve Ditko?
The One Above All did show up to Spider-Man at one point in time. He went disguised, though, as a homeless man.
Oh, okay.
So he can be anything. The One Above All is just the writer. He can be whatever the fucking writer wants.
Oh, okay.
But as there is a One Above All, there is also a One Below All, and that's basically the author being a dickhead. Whenever you're kind of like putting your characters through their paces and putting them through shit and hell and bullshit, you're being the One Below All.
So it's literally just the Christian God and devil.
Yeah, but it's one person. And it's very much more of like, I am putting you through your paces to make you a better person, kind of thing. We explore that more in Immortal Hulk with the Hulk. But let's move on. The next couple cosmoses are important, but they're not long. The fifth cosmos, the fourth multiverse, this is where magic is created.
Oh, shit.
This very concept of magic.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, the concept of magic. Magic with a C, not with a K. There is a Marvel character called Magic, spelled with a K at the end. I love her! This is just birthplace magic. This is when the first Sorcerer Supreme happens. Not the first Sorcerer Supreme, the Doctor Strange window, just the concept of Sorcerer Supreme. Universe grows, shrinks, blah, 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 all that stuff. 6 universe, yes.
Who was the first Sorcerer Supreme?
Some octopus-looking fucker.
Cool.
That's it. He looks like Cthulhu.
Do you think he'll ever get a Marvel Legends?
Probably not. He shows up for like 1 issue.
Damn.
The sixth cosmos. This is when science is created. When people explore the physical reality, see the limits and see the laws and see reality. This is also the birthplace of a man named Galen and his mother, Taya. T-A-A-I-A. Taya. This is the sixth cosmos. Grows, shrinks, all that kind of stuff. And now we're in the seventh cosmos. This is the sixth multiverse. And here's the thing. All the sentients of the cosmos technically have a name. We just don't know most of them. The only ones we know is the first firmament, Pilgrim, and the current one we have, which is Eternity. You, if you watch the MCU, have seen Eternity. He showed up in Love and Thunder. So this is the world we know in the comics today. This is Marvel as we know it. This is where we
made it!
We're at Marvel now. We are finally at Marvel.
What, like 40 minutes in?
Let's see. An hour in, we are finally where most of the comics happen. But we're not even going to start talking about the comics because we need to establish something.
Son of a bitch.
I know.
I'm having fun, just like Jesus.
Okay, so I've talked to you about abstract beings, right?
No.
Yes. Abstract beings is basically like a concept that has a sentience. There are several. So we talked about Eternity. He is the representation of the cosmos as a whole. There are other aspects, though. There is the Living Tribunal. The Living Tribunal kind of travels between the multiverses, and it's much more of like a mediator of magic and power. Yes.
They were in No Way Home and Multiverse of Madness.
You
okay there, Cody?
Yeah, I'm just looking for my log.
But basically, the Living Tribunal kind of keeps an eye on magic and power and make sure it's equal, kind of thing. Like, so long as it's equal across the board in the multiverse, he's fine. So, like, he's kind of a friend, but it's much more on his terms. We also have Death. Death is a woman, often portrayed as a skeletal figure in a cloak. She is the embodiment of death. The embodiment of decay, of ending, of all that kind of stuff. Yes.
You discussed, or you told me earlier, how, like, death has always kind of been around.
It kind of, I don't know for certain, but I would figure so long as there is entropy and decay, death has kind of been around.
But, like, could she predate this reality, and could she potentially be the same death from other realities?
Very possible.
Could she be Neil
It depends on
Gaiman?
if they write it.
It depends on how you write it, and I don't think anybody's explored that yet. Death is also a being who has been Death is probably one of the abstract beings that has had the most interaction with the comics regular, because Death is literally Thanos' one true love. Thanos genuinely loves her. Death does not love him.
She's his waifu.
She's his waifu. She loves a man named Wade Wilson, Deadpool. I am not kidding. Death, a cosmic being of abstract entity, loves Deadpool. Yes.
Given that Death wasn't in either of the Thanos movies, how likely do you think it will be that Death will be in Deadpool 3?
We may see a reference to her. We also have Eternity, which is the concept of just eternity going on, expansion, all that kind of stuff. And Infinity. Infinity is Okay, you gotta think of that.
Infinity is the best Common Rider Wizard form.
God damn it. You gotta think of these abstract beings as like very abstractly, because Infinity is kind of the same person as Eternity, the sister of Eternity, the lover of Eternity. It's very much like Eternity and Infinity go together, and we are too human to understand the true depth of their connection.
They're two peas in a pod.
Yeah, they are connected and whole. There is other characters though. Oblivion, related to death, is just Oblivion, decay, all that kind of stuff. And then we have Master Order and Lord Chaos. They're kind of a match duo. They always hang out together.
They sound like G.I. Joe characters.
It's Order, it's Chaos, it's that kind of thing. Then we have the in-betweener. He acts as a mediator for Chaos and Order, just kind of balancing them.
Didn't they make a BBC show about him?
Yes. Not really. Then you have Mistress Love and Sire Hate. Love and Hate. Remember, they're abstract beings. They represent giant, big concepts.
Why is he called Mr. Slub?
No, Mistress Love.
Okay, you slurred that.
Yeah, Mistress Love and Sire Hate. Then you have the Phoenix Force, which is just like raw, unbridled energy. That's what that kind of represents. And the final being, which is important, but like you never need to know about them. It's just more of like why things happen. Is a being called Anthropomorpho. Anthropomorpho.
Oh, I know that guy. He hangs out like with Batman sometimes.
Sure. Anthropomorpho's sole job is to basically give a facsimile of a human body to the abstract beings so humans can talk to them. That's it. It's just like, here's your simulated meat suit so the flesh bag can talk to you.
He's a glorified morpher.
Yeah, that's what he is. That's Anthropomorpho. And you can see it in his name, anthropomorphication.
Yeah.
And like, yeah. So, those are the big major abstract beings. Any other being is less abstract, but they're about... The next couple beings are less abstract, but kind of big and powerful in the same ways. So we have Galactus.
I know that guy.
Yeah, a lot of people know this guy. We fucking handled him recently.
I diddled his butthole.
So Galactus
His face.
is a being that every universe kind of has. They are an embodiment of entropy, of decay, of death. They are not death. It's just more of like they are used by death. They that kind of thing. So they are called world eaters. They go around and they just eat. They just end worlds. They eat the world. They're hungry. And Galactus is actually Galen from the previous universe, and that's a major thing with world eaters. They are actually a being from the previous universe who survives and becomes the new universe's eater of worlds. So Galactus is from World 6. The Eater of Worlds from World 6 is from World 5. The Eater of Worlds from World 5 is from 4. 4 from 3. 3 from 2. 2 from 1.
Who eats one?
The Celestials destroyed one.
So when we get to 9, I think to change up.
No, we actually know who will be the next Eater of Worlds. We know who is the next Eater of Worlds.
Woo!
Franklin Richards. We'll talk about Franklin later. Actually, it can be one of 3 people. One of 3 people can be it. It could be Franklin Richards, it could be Mr. Immortal, or it could be the Incredible Hulk.
Wait, the same Mr. Immortal who was in She-Hulk?
Yes.
Oh my god!
They are not just Eater of Worlds in and of themselves. They are also heralds of a being called the Black Winter. All you need to know is the Black Winter is kind of outside of reality, and they are ultimately, they're the big crunch. They end the universe.
There's always a bigger fish.
Yeah, they end the universe, and the new universe comes out of it. Basically, the World Eaters and the Black Winter are both kind of remaining aspects of the being called the Anti-All from Universe 3. From Cosmos 3. Okay. So the Anti-All is defeated, kind of breaks apart, becomes World Eaters and Black Winter. Okay. So that's kind of what you need to know. So, in between 6 and 7, before the new universe started, before 7 started, there was nothing. that is just black. And one being came into existence. This is Null. This is where Null comes from.
I thought Null was new, though.
Well, Null is new, but that's when he came. That's when he started. Canonically. In the story, that's where Null happens. Null is ultimately a god being of darkness, of blackness, of nothing. And that's kind of what he wants to be in. He hates light.
Isn't he literally called the Abyss made flesh?
Yes, he is void, given form, and he hates it. He wants to destroy the universe in its entirety, and to do that, do the destruction, to return to an emptiness, he actually, ironically, starts making things of his own. He makes a variety of weapons. Some of them are giant dragons, which are called grindles, and he makes a black, inky ichor that can be molded and formed into a variety of things, such as swords and suits of armor that go onto your skin, tight, and acts in symbiosis with the host. Yes.
I want to give a PSA for the folks at home. Don't fucking touch swords!
Yeah, no. So that's how Null gets made. He's making weapons, all that kind of stuff. And he is the creator of the symbiotes, which we will talk about with Venom and other people. But yeah, that's where the symbiotes come from. He makes them. He also creates the Necro Sword. We will be talking about the Necro Sword in just a moment. Yes.
The Necro Sword from For Love and Thunder!
Yes. Cool. So, that's kind of like some big things we need to talk about right now. And ultimately, the thing you need to know about anything in the cosmos kind of was helped created by the Celestials. They kind of make a lot of things.
They're the Santas.
They're Santa. Sit on the Celestial's lap and ask them what you want for your birthday.
Well, it would be more accurate to... I'm sorry, I'm fucking stealing. It would be more accurate to say that the Santas are... or the Celestials are the elves, I guess, because the elves make the toys. Santa just delivers them.
Santa is also canon in the Marvel Universe.
Good.
He is an Omega level mutant. We will be talking about... we'll be talking about what all those words mean. I'm sorry. But we need to... we're still establishing some things. We need to talk about some intergalactic people. These are just alien species other than those on Earth who are kind of important and just need to be known about. We have the Kree. The Kree is an alien species that evolves rapidly and early on in the cosmos. They are essentially... They're like blue and pink dudes. They're just strong. They do things. They have a bio... supercomputer that leads them. Yes.
Are you ever going to talk about any of these races again after this section?
Several of them.
Ah, shit.
That's why I'm bringing them up.
Alright.
The Kree also create beings known as Inhumans. They go to a planet, they genetically modify an alien species there, and make bioweapons. Yes.
I just noticed there's a star next to the Kree.
The star is the whole group because they're from space.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry about it. Next we have the Skrull. The Skrull, similarly, evolved to the point where they are early on and just kind of kept the same. The Skrull, however, have a special ability. They can shapeshift.
They're peaceful.
They're shapeshift, they do all that kind of stuff. And they have had basically a constant war with the Kree for millennia. Pretty much. That's kind of it for Kree and Skrull. We'll talk more about them later. The next people we need to talk about are the Shi'ar. These three are probably the most important alien species in the Marvel galactic sphere. The Shi'ar, or bird people, they're evolved from birds.
They only matter if you read X-Men.
Yes, and they basically attacked Earth millennia ago. We'll get into that later. But basically, they're very heavily related to the X-Men. They basically have their own Superman.
When are you going to talk about Charles Xavier?
We'll talk about them in the Age of Marvels.
Okay.
We also have Ego the Living Planet. I didn't write him down, but Ego is just a giant planet. He can talk.
Oh, I know that guy. He's Star-Lord's dad, right?
No.
Fuck.
In the comics, he is not Star-Lord's dad. Star-Lord's dad, I can't remember, but basically he runs the Galactic Empire. You have Xandar. Xandar is a planet that basically became an immigrant home of refugees, and they created the Nova Corps, which is an intergalactic police force. You have the Corbinites. The Corbinites were a orange... The people, they look orange, they don't have noses. However, one of the most famous Corbinites was genetically and biomechanically changed to basically become their champion warrior, and his name is Beta Ray Bill.
You probably just never described him exactly that way before. Just realized that Beta Ray Bill and Rom the Space Knight have the same damn origin.
Yep. The next species we need to talk about are the Kotati. The Kotati are important, but sporadically so. They are plant people. They are sentient plants.
Oh,
Are they the ones from that recent event?
From Empire, yes.
Okay.
But they are important. They do things. The next ones are very much less important, but they are relevant to certain discussions. They are the Chimelians. The Chimelians are a species of horse-like people. They are bipedal. They are noted for giving the superhero team Power Pack their powers. And they are one of the known species to have been modified by the Kree to create Inhumans. Yes.
How much power could a Power Pack pack if a Power Pack could Power Pack in packs?
At least one bisexual woman.
Shit.
That's a lot.
Yep. So those are major species we got to talk about. Now we have like godlike beings. So we have the Necrosaur. No, they're lesser than the abstract guys, but they still have a lot of power. They're movers and shakers. So we have the Necrosword. The Necrosword kind of has a sentience, but it doesn't really talk. It's created by Null. It corrupts its user, and it's basically just... Imagine the biggest fucking gun in the universe can kind of... Imagine the One Ring from Lord of the Rings was a sword.
And makes you into an atheist.
Yeah, kind of. So that's what the Necrosword is. It's important. Then you have a group of people called the Watchers. Their whole thing is they observe what happens and just keep notes of it. Except one guy, he kind of gets involved, but he's not supposed to. We'll talk about him a little bit.
That could be.
Then we have Mephisto. Mephisto is the devil. He's a big red guy who likes to make deals. He's the devil. They just don't want to actually have the devil in the book. So they call him Mephisto.
Isn't he fucking Snidely with Whiplash as well?
Yeah, he's conniving. He makes plans. Woo!
Yeah, he did the voice!
The two people also related to Mephisto that are very important. We have Zarathos, a spirit of vengeance, and Blackheart. Zarathos is a spirit, a being of pure vengeance, of pure animosity, of just attack. And Mephisto kind of implants that spirit into a mortal person to basically kind of be their attack dog to go fight things for them. And these beings, at least on Earth, are known as Ghost Riders. And Blackheart is just Mephisto's son. He also connives, he also plans,
He's
he
a
makes
dickball.
deals. He's a dickhead. He looks big, black, and fuzzy. He looks like a giant porcupine man.
And we're never gonna get a Marvel Legends.
No. We also have the Asgardians. The Asgardians are a humanoid-like species that live in their own realm. Remember, that is a pocket universe. In a place called Asgard. They, however, traveled to Earth at one point and started resembling and mimicking a faith there called the Nordic faith. Yes.
I thought the Nordic faith was thousands of years old. And why are Jack Kirby and Stan Lee taking credit for that shit?
Because they changed it enough that it's different. And the actual Nordic faith, which is the worship of beings called the Aesir, that's actually what they're called.
Oh man, he actually did research on that. Okay.
Beings such as Loki is actually much more of a stepbrother to Odin. The Thor is ginger and has goats. And Thor's not
goats in the comics.
Yeah, now. But that's after people who actually know their fucking Nordic myth actually fucking wrote Thor. But it's different, it's changed, and basically the reason for that is when early humans who would be worshipping those people interacted with the Asgardians, they kind of like cross-pollinated concepts. So the Aether faith we have...
So they disobeyed the Prime Directive.
Oh yeah, no. Most people did not give a shit about fucking with Earth. We'll talk more about it. And in similar vein, the Olympians did that. You know, Zeus, Hera, Poseidon, they did the same thing.
Wait, back the fuck up.
Yes.
The Olympians and the Norse gods exist?
Every god in man's myth exists. Like everyone. I know Cuchulainn showed up once.
Who's Cuchulainn?
He's a major hero from Irish myth. Yeah.
I thought you were going for a Kukulkan.
No.
Hashtag.
No. Aztec people have shown up.
Yeah.
But basically, pretty much any god kind of exists in the world universe. Other ones, yes.
Has the Christian god shown up, and is he an asshole?
He has shown up, he was not an asshole.
Damn it.
So we also have Chthon. Chthon is kind of like, I think more like along the lines of Cthulhu. He kind of created a bunch of the rules of magic. And he is the writer of a book called The Darkhold. The Darkhold is basically all of the dark magic on Earth. Just in one book, it creates a bunch of different things, so on and so forth. Chthon was banished to another realm and has been trying to get back with his cult members ever since. The cult members get the Darkhold, they try and summon him. Heroes stop. Gaia, which is the spirit of the Earth itself, was the one who banished him. We also have a being called the Beast.
Brock Lesnar is here?
To an extent. There is a group of ninjas who worship him. He is basically just like a dude, fucking angry. Just like, fuck. You know, just the Beast. That's all he is. He's just an angry asshole. Then we have the... Yes.
Why is Daredevil so worried about him coming? Why is Styx so worried about him coming back then if he's just some asshole?
Because he's basically starting an apocalypse. Then we have the Game Master. He's a pretty powerful being. He really likes games.
I love that game show from the 80s or 90s or whenever the fuck it was.
Yeah, you can just kind of like, he just fucks around. Kind of an ally sometimes, kind of an asshole. It just all depends. We have the Collector. About the same power level as the Game Master. He just collects shit.
He's in the room with us right now.
Wow.
He's in the room when it happens. So, we have the Kree-Skrull War. Now we're into some major before the Age of Marvels. We got to talk about major, these are just events that happen, so you know. Kree-Skrull War. No one knows what the fuck they're fighting. The Kree don't know what the fuck they're fighting. The Skrulls don't know how the fuck they're fighting. Yes.
Is it like they just started fighting one day, or they've been fighting so long that they don't remember?
They've been fighting so long, no one remembers why.
So it's like in Saga.
Yeah.
Oh my god, Saga's in the Marvel Universe.
Technically, sure. But yeah, they've just been fighting ever since. The main reason why it's been fighting for so long is that they are both technologically equal, because the Kree had a thing with the Kotati, and they basically stole the Kotati's tech.
What a bunch of dicks.
And fucked over the Kotati. So the Kotati fucking pissed at the Kree. They're pissed at the fucking Kree. We also have the creation of the Herald. So Galactus, going on his business, was eating planets and shit, and he came to one of his planets, and one of the dudes on the planet was like, "Hey, don't eat my planet. Why shouldn't I eat your planet? I can fucking take you to other planets." Sure. And he made the Silver Surfer. The Silver Surfer just kind of roams around, looks for planets for him, and then takes him to him.
So, the Silver Surfer was the first Herald?
As far as I'm aware.
Okay. I thought it was like Galactus had a policy of heralds before then, and Norrin just offered to do it to save his planet.
As far as I'm aware, that is not the case. Norrin Rad, aka the Silver Surfer, was probably the first herald. As far as I'm aware. Small other bits. Xandar creates the Nova Corps, that is the major intergalactic police foundation, and there is a group of people called the Fraternity of Raptors. They make fucking cyborg bodies called Raptors that you can put your consciousness in. Their big fucking weapons are important. Yes.
What was created first, the Nova Corps, the Green Lanterns, or the Lensmen? Put it in post here.
Green Lanterns was first. Nova Corps was in like the 80s. So okay. And last thing, the Icar symbiotes that Null created rebelled against him, saying "fuck you, we don't want to do what you tell us," and formed themselves into a planet to house Null within and keep him sedated and away from people. And
They made him a playpen.
they basically like kept him asleep for millennia, and they named that planet and thus their species after their word for cage, which is Clintar. So Clintar means cage. They're meant to cage Null in and keep Null sedated. So those are major events, and so just locations you need to know. So Asgard, Olympus, that's where the Asgard and the Olympians live. We have Mojo World. We're not going to talk about it, but Mojo World's a fun place. It is an alternate dimension. It's fun for the reader. It's an alternate dimension, basically ruled by reality TV. It's ruled by people called Mojos. They basically torment people to make fun entertainment.
So it's 2006.
Yes. We have the Negative Zone. It's just a big zone full of negative shit. A guy named El Nihilus is there.
That's where you go to be upset.
Yeah. Then you have the Dark Dimension. The Dark Dimension is similar, but dark. That's the place where Dormammu lives.
Is that like the dimension for goths?
Considering Clea is there, yes.
I never thought of Cleo as goth before, but yeah, that works.
We also have Limbo, which is another dimension. It is a kind of wasteland. It often needs a ruler because there's a lot of demons that would be unruly there. The ruler for a long while is a character named Ilyana Rasputin.
I know who that is!
Also known as Magic. She, however, has recently relinquished that title to a character called the Goblin Queen.
Boo.
It is also an interesting place because time is very malleable there. Time intersects in weird ways, so you can time travel, but not in any like solidified way. It's just more of like, oh no, I've run into my past self for cathartic reasons. We also have Hell. It's Hell. We have a place called the Below Place. This is like Hell, but different. The Below Place is where the one below all kind of like stays, and it is also the place of the Green Door. The Green Door is a thing for gamma-radiated mutates. I will explain those terms. That basically they can walk through after they die and come back to life. That's what the Green Door is. We also have Otherworld. This is a place where multiple universes connect, and the multiverse. This is also the place where the Captain Britain Corps headquarter themselves. It is very Arthurian. It is very fairy tale. There's dragons. There's nymphs. There's elves. There's a bunch of.
Doesn't literal Merlin live there too?
Merlin lives there. Arthur lives there. Morgan lives there. Like Arthurian legend. That's where they're from. Otherworld. We also have Dinosaur World. Okay, when the asteroid came and hit the dinosaurs, several of them got put in a different dimension. That's Dinosaur World.
What? Why?
Because they want to have Dinosaur World.
Fair enough.
This is where Devil Dino is from, and this is also where a character called Raphael gets his powers from.
Is that where the Super Mario Brothers movie takes place?
Maybe.
Shit.
I thought that was a fungus plant.
No, that's where Yoshi's is. So yeah, that's Dinosaur World, and we also have the Realm of the Unconscious. That's only relevant because I'm interested in it, because that's where Sleepwalker's from. It's basically a collective unconscious of the human mind. It's its own little dimension. It's just unconscious thought. Yes.
I thought you said everyone loves Sleepwalker.
I love Sleepwalker, but I really love Sleepwalker. That's all of the prelude shit. We are about to actually start telling the stories of Marvel.
What's the current time code?
What's the current time code?
Oh, okay.
We got through that.
We're speeding up. We're speeding up.
Okay. So, real quick, these are designations that I came up with just to make the organization easier. There's 4 major ages of Marvel. We have the Cosmos Age, the Celestial Age, the Invader Age, and the Marvel Age. Yes.
This is a question for the viewers at home.
Mhm.
Am I being annoying yet? Have I annoyed you into wanting to close the video yet? Send me an email, boingowriter@gmail.com.
Congratulations, that's not my email. So, these 4 time periods, we've already discussed the Cosmos era. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Those Cosmos. That's the Cosmos era. The Celestial era is everything we've just kind of been talking about. Of just like people being made, things happening, Asgard, all that kind of stuff. Now we're about to talk about the Age of Invader. So,
Invader Sim?
oh no, we're about to talk about that, but we need to set up the Age of Invaders and the Age of Marvels.
Okay.
So,
Damn.
We were so close.
we're getting there. We are now on planet Earth. We are on Earth itself.
We weren't before? Where the fuck were we?
In the
Alright.
in the lecture, we are now on Earth.
Okay.
We were just fucking around, and now we're about to find out.
We're about to find out. So, on the ancient primordial Earth, a celestial comes by, sick as a fucking dog, and dies, releasing basically their essence and the thickness on the Earth.
Is this the Jason Aaron Avengers Space Celestial?
Yes, I am talking about it because it's technically canon, but I am using my own headcanon. By the way, this is headcanon right now, and this jumpstarts life on Earth. It helps start the microbes and that kind of stuff. That's what happens here. Millennia, billions of years later, life has evolved, all that kind of stuff. Celestials come by and go like, oh, this shit's kind of interesting. Let's experiment. Let's see what happens. So one Celestial takes a couple proto-humans and forcibly evolves them, gives them everlasting life and eternal youth, and called them the Eternals. The Eternals are from Earth. They are not aliens. Yes.
They're not robots?
They're biological robots. That's the way you got to think about it. They're biological functions, but they are programmed with 3 laws, which is don't hurt a Celestial, I can't remember. Don't hurt a Celestial, prune excess deviation. There's one more. There's one more. I can't remember what it is. Yes.
Would the Eternals be approving or disapproving of DeviantArt.com?
It's
reached
art, so they like art.
Yeah, but it's also excess deviation. Because another Celestial creates beings called the Deviants. Now, the Deviants are important.
They're the people who post on DeviantArt.com.
Yes, the Deviants are important because the Deviants are DNA run amok. Every Deviant's DNA is completely different. They are pure mutation. They are pure random chance of biology. And basically, the Eternals are there to like stop the Deviants when they become too dangerous and hurt other people. That's kind of their thing. So that's what the Deviants and the Eternals are. Now, the reason why the Deviants were made was basically to intermingle with humans as they evolved to create changes in humans so that humanity can become their ultimate self. That's ultimately the point. That's what the Deviants are for, and the Eternals are there to kind of keep them in check. That's the Eternals, that's the Deviants. So we now got to talk about some other major humanoid and other species on the planet Earth that are kind of relevant and important. So we got humans. Me, you, Joe Schmoes, just regular ass humans. We have mutates. They're different than mutants. Mutate is a being who, through later exposure to something, gains superpowers. So this is the Hulk. This is Captain America. Spider-Man. These are your superheroes. Well, some of them. So, yes. Deadpool is technically considered a mutant. So, like, basically, they were human, and then they got something, and now they have powers. Mutate. Fantastic Four, also in this. Next, we have mutants. Mutants are Homo superior. That is literally their designation, yes.
So they're fucking gay?
Yes, a lot of them are.
Oh my god.
A lot of them are gay.
Cody had a question.
Yes,
No, I didn't.
you were just pointing at me.
Yes, I was.
So mutants, basically, they're born with their powers. When they reach a certain age, they will express that mutant power. It can be anything from controlling magnets to teleporting 2 miles.
Water, fire, air, earth, fucking magnets. How do they work?
There's also a group of mutants called the Externals. Think of them as like Eternals, but they came to that by accident. Like, they're everlasting, they're forever young, they don't have the rules that the Celestials put into them, and they are immortal.
But the Warlock guy, it's something different.
That's different. Warlock is an alien from a people called the Technocracy, I think. No, Techno.
He didn't raise his hand.
It's fine, we love him. That's what the Externals are. Apocalypse is an External. If you know who Apocalypse is.
He's not a mutant?
No, he's a mutant. Externals are part of the mutants. There's Externals,
Okay.
Eternals. X-E, okay. And this is where the Omega classification comes from mutants. Omega classification is a way of like registering powers as a mutant, and it's kind of been used for a bunch of other people, which is basically being Omega level is there is no upper limit to your ability.
When are you going to talk about Aurora Monroe?
Right now, she's one of the Omegas. Magneto is an Omega level mutant. Iceman is an Omega level mutant. Jean Grey is an Omega level mutant. Basically, there is no upward limit to their ability. As far as anyone is aware, there is no end to what they can do.
Just for audience clarification, Aurora Monroe is Storm. I know the movies don't make that clear, so we should probably
Yeah, so Storm, Jean Grey, Iceman, Magneto. There's also Alpha, there's Beta mutants, Gamma mutants, all that. Not Gamma,
You're a beta mutant.
but it's just a simple classification. And it's no upward limitation for their ability. Given enough time, enough energy, and enough power, Magneto can control every single magnet in the universe.
Have they introduced Sigma mutants yet?
Probably. And just for like understanding, there's a character called Cyclops. He has an unlimited amount of kinetic energy that can come out of his eyes.
I know that guy.
So you would think maybe he was an Omega level mutant. He is not considered an Omega level mutant, mainly due to the fact that while the amount of kinetic energy he can shoot is constant, it's like never-ending, infinite, the amount of kinetic energy that comes out is always consistent, and it is always limited to his eyes. So those are definitive limitations to his ability. Yes.
It's not heat vision. It's a kinetic blast. It doesn't vaporize people. It pushes them into the wall.
It's a
fucking hate when people mix it up.
It's a punch beam. If it given enough time, it could friction heat something. That's the thing you got to realize. It could friction heat something, but it's kinetic. In a similar vein, Nightcrawler, he can teleport anywhere within a 2-mile radius. Yes.
I thought he just has to be able to see it.
No, 2 miles.
So he couldn't teleport to something that's like 3 miles away if he could see it?
No, he can see it, and he can do 2 miles and then 1 more mile. That's why he has to teleport pop. Yep. So that's kind of the understanding. It's like there's no imaginable upward limit of what they can technically do. They're Omega. If there is a limitation, they're not Omega. That's why like Wolverine's not Omega. He can regenerate indefinitely, but he can only regenerate his body.
I am actually learning things here.
Yeah. So that's Omega. That's other levels. You don't really need to know the other levels because they're not as important. It's just more of like, that's what they are. So yeah, that's Omega level. Then we have the Inhumans. The Inhumans are genetic modifications by the Kree of human beings on Earth. They take some humans and they fucked with their DNA, then they became Inhumans, and then they just continued as a species in secret on Earth for millennia, decades, centuries. Yes.
They suck.
They suck, but they don't have to suck. It's because they try to put them in a square hole that they don't belong into. And like I said earlier, the Inhumans aren't just humans. The Chimelians are also Inhumans because they were genetically modified by the Kree. They all consider themselves inhuman. There's probably a different name for it, but they all consider themselves like one.
Wouldn't they be Incymillion then?
They're Incymillion, but we're calling them inhuman just because the Inhumans are the ones we know. Their abilities do not come from age or puberty. Their abilities are given to them by a process called pterogenesis. Yes.
The way you spelled Olympian, the way you wrote it on the board, Olympians, it looks like OnlyFans from over here.
Well, I mean, considering the Olympians, they would have OnlyFans.
Onlyhercules.com.
So whenever they reach a certain age, they are put into a chamber, they are given a gas, they achieve pterogenesis, and they get an ability. Some notable members of the Inhumans are Black Bolt, he has super powerful voice, Medusa, she has prehensile hair, and Lockjaw. Lockjaw is not a person. Lockjaw is a dog. He has always been a dog. He has never once been a man.
People tend to get that confused, don't they?
They do get that confused because he's a dog with a mustache. But that's also the thing. Inhuman is just modified by Kree. So anything can be inhuman. A dog can be inhuman. A person can be inhuman. A chameleon can be inhuman. Yes.
But the thing was Ben Grimm.
The thing is this.
I got him, finally!
But blur that out in post.
Yeah. Then we have the Eternals. We talked about the Eternals. They are just robots who keep an eye on the Deviants. They do a lot of things. However, there's currently 3 groups of Eternals as we have them right now. We have the Orthodox Eternals. These are the guys who follow the laws, do all the things. They're the Eternals we know from forever. Then we have the Heretical Eternals. The Heretical Eternals massively view the laws in a different way and are followers of Ajax Celestial. Yes.
Are there Baptist Eternals?
Titan. No. So there's 3 factions. The Orthodox, Heretical, and then there's Titan. The Titan Eternals were a group of Eternals that went, fuck not having kids, went to the moon Titan, experimented, found a way to have kids. 2 of them did. One of them was Eros, Star Fox, who you saw at the end of Eternals. The other one was Thanos. Yes.
How does Thanos get to the planet that they say is his home in Infinity War then?
That is Titan. That's a moon.
They were...
In the MCU,
They weren't that far from Earth?
And in the MCU, they changed it to a planet, but in the comic, it is the moon Titan.
Okay, so Harry Styles' Eros is still from Titan. He's going to be from that place?
Technically should be if they keep it kind of continuity, because here's the thing. Thanos looks that way because he's an Eternal with what's called a deviant gene. Basically, he's Eternal, but he's also a deviant. So that's why he's purple, has the chin.
This dude had an alt account.
Yeah. So he's that kind of guy. And because he looked the way he did, he was ostracized by his people and became an asshole. So if you have an ugly baby, don't treat it like shit.
I'm sorry, Chris.
I know. So, that is a lot of the major species on Earth. We'll talk about deviants in a second. Yes.
Are you going to finish that Dr. Pepper by the end of this lecture?
I have no idea.
God, I hope not, man.
You're going to piss a fucking tsunami.
I'm thirsty. I'm talking a lot.
It's fine. Hey, I'm going to do it too. I'm just like pointing things out.
So, we talked about the deviants. They have massively fluctuating DNA. Eternal rivals to the Eternals. One of the deviants named Crow fucked an Eternal a lot.
Good for him.
Yeah, no. He's actually one of the few deviants who's like lived longer than 60 years. That's the average lifespan for a deviant. Is 60 years. However, he's lived for like tens of thousands of years for some fucking reason. And he fucked Dina.
Angelina Jolie?
What?
Angelina Jolie?
Yeah, Angelina Jolie's
What
character.
a chat!
Yeah, okay, you know the deviant that was chasing them, Crow, in the movie?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's the one who fucks Angelina Jolie in the comics. In the comics, they're fucking off again, on again lovers. Yes.
Is it at all possible that'll happen in a sequel?
Maybe. Who knows? So that's deviants.
Are we even getting this sequel?
Yes.
Kevin Feige says he wants there to be one.
Okay.
I like the first one. I just didn't know if it did well.
So
Didn't do good in theaters, but once it hit Disney Plus, everybody changed their minds apparently.
yeah.
Fair enough.
So those are kind of like the major celestial kind of species. The other species are kind of like relevant to Earth but aren't celestial related. So we have the vampires. Vampires are a major species on Earth. The way the vampires happened is back in the past, there was a dude, yes.
When are you going to talk about Buffy Summers?
We'll talk about Marvel's Buffy Summers, who is an angry black man.
That's a thing?
It's Blade.
Oh, okay.
So, back in the past, the Darkhold was used to basically create a big badass fucking undead warrior for a cult, and that was Dracula. And he just made vampires on Earth.
Is that in Tomb of Dracula at all, or is that later?
That's in continuity. I don't know where it's from. I just know that's how it happened.
Oh, okay.
That's how vampires happen in the Marvel Universe. So, you know how I told you that there's Dinosaur World?
Yeah.
There's also a place on Marvel called the Savage Lands. A bunch of dinosaurs just live there. Just on Earth. Just dinosaurs.
It's a retirement.
No, it's just dinosaurs. Like,
I
dinosaurs.
was making a boomer joke. I was making an old people joke.
So yeah, you can just go to the Savage Land, hang out with dinosaurs.
Would there be Greenland, Iceland?
Actually, it's in the Antarctic.
I found those inbred mastodon.
Yeah. But basically, there's dinosaurs. We also have a species called the Moloids. Yes.
That's where they found the Dinobot to make Transformium in Age of Extinction. Well, might line up someone.
So, Moloids. Moloids are an underground humanoid species. They're sensitive to sunlight. They are oftentimes the minions of a man called Mole Man. They're just a regular occurring species on Earth. They're just there. Yeah.
Would moms post memes about them on Facebook?
They do look minion-like.
Mm-hmm.
They are minion-like. Actually, there is a group of Moloids that had lived underneath a Native American Indian reservation for like decades. And when they came out, the leaders of the reservation basically went like, "Yo, no, we've lived on the same land for centuries. Yo, we're bros." And they were accepted as part of the tribe, as part of the nation. So that's fun. Like, they're friends. Like, there's bad Moloids, there's good Moloids. This is like there's a trans Moloid. So, like, Moloids, they're around. They do things. They're like mole men, but they're Moloids. So on major species we need to talk about that don't really have a species name, but they are a common occurrence enough that we need to talk about them. These are beings that we'll just call the Kirby monsters. These are just a bunch of giant fucking kaiju created by Jack Kirby in the 50s and 60s that just are in the universe. They just are around.
I was gonna just say that they're basically kaiju, but you say kaiju. So.
Yeah, Marvel has their own kaiju crew. They fought Godzilla when they had the license for
I was
Godzilla.
about to say, Marvel had the Godzilla license. Did this Godzilla count as a Kirby monster in the Marvel?
No, because he wasn't created by Kirby. Kirby monsters are created by Kirby, look like they were drawn by Kirby. They continue to look like they're drawn by Kirby, and they're just giant monsters. But they're around enough that you need to mention them. We also have lycanthropes, werewolves. Werewolves are a thing. There's a variety of different werewolves, but there's werewolves. We also have demons. Demons are just around, yes.
Watch Werewolf by Night. It's really good.
Watch Werewolf by Night, it's really good. We also have demons. They're around. They just do things. They do demon things. There is also a variety of undead, including zombies. There's also dragons. A noted dragon is a member of Kunlun. He gets the power of the Iron Fist. And we have swamp things. Swamp things are an interdimensional, multiversal kind of being. They're very related to magic, and there's one swamp thing called Swamp Thing that is important. Yes. Man Thing.
That's a DC character.
Oh,
you fucked it up.
It's Man Thing. It's people who looks like Man Thing.
Fix that on the board right now.
There.
I'll go and get the fucking mark.
We'll fix it.
God.
Oh, God. Fucking That's what happens when you gotta go fast. When you try to get this going fast.
Go too fast.
Go too fast.
Do all of our lectures have to be super long?
No.
Thank God.
I'm at an hour 44.
You're probably gonna finish at 3.
Yeah.
And here's the fucking
Oh,
berater.
you're
Hit
right.
you fuck up again.
I'll fuck you up.
Yeah.
All right.
Pretty much gone over everything up there so far.
We haven't gotten to like story points yet.
Yeah. Man things. So man things. Man things are a thing. They happen. They do a variety of stuff. They're a species in and of themselves. They show up in Strange Academy. There's also a man thing, giant sized man thing. He just around. He's a multiverse being. He deals with the nexus of reality. Okay. So, we are now, truly and honestly, in the age of invaders. The age of invaders.
Time code, please.
Time code is at 145. The age of invaders. This is basically World War II. It's an important era because it's distinct from the age of Marvels, but it is important. This is Captain America, Namor, Human Torch, Nick Fury. It's World War II, it's all those stuff. So, we have the invaders, which is Namor, the Human Torch, Captain America. They fight in World War II. Yes.
Why was Johnny Storm fighting in World War II?
There's two different Human Torches. There is the Human Torch from the Fantastic Four, which we will talk about, and there is the Human Torch, which is a synthezoid from the 40s.
Jim Hammond.
What? Yeah, Jim Hammond. So they kind of just go around. Namor is the mutant prince of Atlantis, king of Atlantis. He's super strong, super powerful. He can fly. He's pissed off a lot of the time. He's angry at people because they pollute. And he kind of just fights whatever fights he wants. We have Captain America, who is a kid from Brooklyn, kind of weak, hates bullies, gets the super soldier serum, and just becomes Captain America and fights a good fight.
He's a good boy.
He's a good boy. We have the Human Torch, which, as I said, is a synthezoid. Whenever he is exposed to oxygen, he is lit aflame. However, he learns to control it. And it's the Human Torch. He goes and fires things. We have Nick Fury, who at the time of World War II was just a regular soldier in charge of a unit. However, after Captain America, he volunteers for a attempt at a replica of the super soldier serum called the Infinity Serum. But it does not give him super strength or peak physicality. It just makes him kind of slow aging. Yes.
I thought it was called the Infinity Formula.
It probably is the formula. I call it serum. It's Infinity something. It makes him age really slowly. So, like, he's still a soldier in World War II, but he can be in today. That's kind of all what you need to know. And then we have another important character who didn't fight in the Invaders, which was a team in World War II, is a man named Isaiah Bradley. Isaiah Bradley is a man who was another attempt at recreating the super soldier serum. He was a black man in medical experiments that were horribly like anti-humanitarian. Like, it's evil. It was evil experiments replicating the Tuskegee syphilis trials. He was the only one to survive. He fought in World War II for some battles, and he lived on to the day. He aged slightly slower than the average man, and he eventually had a nephew or a grandchild it's a grandchild, who had remnants of the super soldier serum, and he became Patriot. So he's important. He's something that Marvel is really good at, which is recognizing real-world tragedy and things that happened and not shying away from it. But he is a retcon later on and planted in that time. But he's important. I want to mention him. And that's the Invaders. They fight World War II, fight the Nazis. And then World War II ends and they kind of just fade away for a little bit. Yes.
When exactly, like date and time, did they beat the shit out of Adolf Hitler?
Right before he killed himself. So now we got to explain the sliding time scale. So when all this first was written, World War II was ended in 1945, and Fantastic Four first debuted in 1961. It was that recent, and it was supposed to be in that time. However, as the comics have happened, they don't want that to be the exact time, so they kind of fudge it with a thing called the sliding timescale. More or less, things happen relative to other events, not relative to when they're published. So it's been about 14 years since the Fantastic Four debuted, yes.
But if the Fantastic Four debuted in 1966, how does Reed Richards have a smartphone now with the sliding time scale?
Because it's slid up to today. That's kind of it. It's relative. It is 15 years back from now. That's when you kind of got to think of when those events happen. So you never really have specific dates. It's kind of like, that happened a while ago. That happened forever ago. And you just kind of have to piece it together in your head. That's sliding time scale. Unless given a certain specific date, it kind of happens whenever. Yeah.
Are most of the humans in the Marvel Universe like over 100 years old in actual time now?
Relativistically speaking, sure. Kind of. Just because it's just how things work. So, like, the Fantastic Four have been around for, like, 15, 16 years. Because they were around for, like, a year or two. And then Franklin was born, and he's, like, 14 right now. So that's kind of, like, the way you gotta frame it. So Spider-Man's been Spider-Man for about 12 years. Give or take. Kind of things. That's kind of how it is. Yes.
So a better way to put it would probably be everyone's age is relative to Franklin. Like, he's a force of gravity asserting his will over everyone else.
Yes, and that's also like a genuine headcanon because he has reality manipulating powers. That he is genuinely doing that, but it's not a real canon theory. So that's a possible reason why things are happening, but it's not really inherently necessary to understand things. And like I said, if they're given a specific date of time when things happen, it happened then. Magneto was a survivor of the Holocaust. Wolverine was born in Alberta, Canada in mid-1800s. That's specific.
You can't fuck with that.
You can't fuck with that. You can't fuck with Captain America. Those things happened at those times. When everything else happens, that's fungible. That's kind of how you got to think. Yeah, that's the sliding time scale. And now, we're at the age of Marvels. This is when Marvel Comics started being published by, in 61, being Fantastic Four. Stan and Jack were creating all these guys. So we have the Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four.
You don't need no more.
Yeah. So, 4 people.
End the lecture now.
4 people go up in a spaceship, are bombarded by cosmic rays, and come back changed and become heroes to the grand public. You have Sue Storm, the Invisible Girl, eventually Invincible Woman, she changes her name, who can turn herself invisible, create a variety of invisible force fields, and can make other things invisible. She just can control the visibility of light. That's her powers. She's very, very strong, very powerful. She's a kind, loving person, but she's also smart as whip. You have Johnny Storm, who can light himself aflame, and can get hot enough to reach a nova star. A star going nova. A supernova. Really fucking... You have the Thing, who's made of rock. She's real strong.
Has Johnny Storm ever been in the Nova Corps?
No, Johnny Storm has never been in the Nova Corps.
Somebody should do that book.
Yeah. The Thing, super strong. He's rocks. He's just a Jewish kid from Yancey Street, New York. He's tough. He's raw.
He's also the best character.
He's also great.
We're not gonna peak any higher than this, folks.
No, he's genuinely one of the more powerful characters in the Marvel Universe, simply due to the fact that he has so much willpower that he can just fucking tank anything. Because he's like, fuck you, I ain't going down. Genuinely, that's why he's so strong.
Makes a really good weapon for Hulk.
Yeah. Like, that's why the Thing and the Hulk can fight so evenly, even though the Hulk is strongest there is. Because the Thing's not going down without a fight. So yeah, that's the Fantastic Four. They go on a very madcap adventure.
You didn't talk about Reed Richards?
Oh yeah, no, Mr. Fantastic. Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, is probably is the smartest man on Earth. He is a preeminent scientist in many a field. He is a loving family man, and anybody says he isn't is an asshole. So yeah, Mr. Fantastic's great person, great character. He stretches. He cannot fundamentally change the molecular shape of his the molecular biology of his body, he can just stretch it.
He can stretch. He can't morph.
He can stretch. He cannot shapeshift. That's the way you got to think of it. Other stretchy people can shapeshift. He cannot. So yeah, that's the Fantastic Four. They go on a mini adventure. They fight Doctor Doom. They fight a bunch of people. They fight the Moloids with Mole Man. Yeah, so that's Fantastic Four. We have Thor. He is one of the Asgardians. He basically, through a variety of things, befriends people of Earth and just goes like, you know what? This place fucks. This place fucks. I'm gonna hang out here and fight. Let's just hang out. And that's kind of Thor. That's Thor's thing. He has a bunch of bullshit involving a stick and a guy named fucking Donald Blake. But for this, you don't need to know that.
Only if you're gonna read old ass Thor comics.
Only if you need to read old ass Thor comics and new ass Thor comics. Because Donald Blake's a character in them.
Oh, that's right.
Oh yeah, he's a separate character now.
He's a villain now.
Real quick, Donald Blake. Thor was being cocky. Odin was going like, stop being cocky. He gave him a human body that was weak and feeble. And basically told him, like, go learn humility. He forgot he was Thor. One day on a hike, he found a stick. He strikes the stick. He turns into Thor, and he's like, oh shit, I'm Thor! He learns his lessons, and eventually Odin's like, alright, cool, you don't need to be Donald Blake anymore. So you can just be Thor. Sweet, I'm Thor. That lasts for a while, but Donald Blake was its own personality and its own little realm, part of Asgard. And he slowly goes crazy and basically goes, fuck the gods, I was made to suffer, and he basically tried to kill Asgard. Now he's strapped to a table with venom piercing his eyes. Yeah. That's Donald Blake. He is the current god of lies in Marvel Comics.
What about Loki?
He is the god of stories. Also, Loki's gender fluid, and you tend to use he, him, or she, her pronouns depending on the form he takes. Just a side thing. We have Iron Man. Tony Stark is a billionaire philanthropist now, but he used to be a weapons maker at one point in a war, which changes constantly due to the sliding timescale. Originally, it was Vietnam, then it became the Gulf War, then it became the Afghan conflict, and now it's just kind of a general war.
Somebody was bad at somebody.
Yeah. He gets injured. His heart has trouble functioning. He has to put an implant in it to basically keep shrapnel away from his heart. And depending, he sometimes gets it removed eventually, but that's how it starts. He builds a suit of armor to escape captivity. He iterates on the armor to become a superhero.
Is the shrapnel removed in continuity at the moment?
I do believe so.
Okay.
I do believe so.
What happens when we reach a point in human history where we no longer have shrapnel-based weapons?
They can figure
He's
something.
got plasma chunks in him, or whatever.
They'll figure
weapon
something. Yeah, no, it's a weird, like, that's the thing. That's the thing with sliding continuity. It's just like, yes, contemporary wars causes a lot of PTSD in soldiers, but it's not the same PTSD that Frank Castle had in Vietnam. So, like, Frank Castle has to change and mold due to the ages and sliding times. It's wibbly wobbly. It's bullshit. Okay, so that's Iron Man. Next, we have the Hulk. The Hulk is another character to kind of early on in the Marvel Comics. The Hulk is a giant rage monster who punches things really, really good. However, the man who becomes the Hulk is Bruce Banner, who, before becoming the Hulk, had undiagnosed DID, the dissociative identity disorder, which, if you do not know what the contemporary that is, it's a newer term and a more accurate term for multiple personality syndrome. It's a more accurate term today because it's all that kind of stuff. Yes.
It's what Two-Face and Moon Knight have.
Yeah. So there are multiple personalities within Bruce Banner as a system, and due to the fact that he is bombarded with gamma radiation, becomes the Hulk. All of these different personalities can be expressed through different Hulks, different shapes that they can take, different colors, size, builds. These include what's called the big guy. He's the Hulk Smash. That's the big guy. They all treat him like a kid brother because he's simple, and they try to like treat him nice because they realize that's Bruce Banner's childhood innocence. That's kind of what he represents. You have Professor Hulk. You have Joe Fixit, who is a Gray Hulk, who is a mob enforcer in Las Vegas. You also have the Devil Hulk, who is basically Bruce Banner's complete nihilism of the universe and the world, who just wants to protect Bruce Banner. Yes.
Is it the Nevada state lines that turn him into Grey Hulk, or just anything? Oh, I know Grey Hulk's different.
Yeah. No, it's genuinely like the personality comes out.
I know, but like, is it the second he steps over that line? Is he gonna like morph back and forth?
No, actually, genuinely, it's much more of like once they start communicating between each other in Immortal Hulk, it's much more of like, hey, we need to get some money. Joe Fixit, can you con these guys? And he comes out and cons money. That's kind of how it works now.
Is that all he does? Does Joe Fixit ever get mad? Is he like, why don't you guys ever call me to just hang out and play?
Oh no, he's happy to do it. It's just like that's what he kind of does.
And where does the Tommy gun, that's an unknown caliber, come from?
If you want a genuine explanation, Joe Fixit probably like hired Scott Lang to make give him Pimparticle, and he shrinks it and grows it whenever he needs it.
That's amazing.
But there's another thing with the Hulk is he is gamma irradiated. Now, in the real world, gamma radiation is just a form of radiation.
It fucking kills you.
Yeah, it kills you. And Marvel, gamma radiation is magic. It does a bunch of shit. Just does shit.
Because it was the 60s.
Yeah. Kind of like expresses your inner thoughts, things like that. So on and so forth. And if you are gamma irradiated, when you die, you see the green door. You walk through the green door, and you come back to life. Anybody who's gamma irradiated is immortal, essentially. They can die, and at midnight, they can come back to life. So these characters include the Hulk, Red Hulk, Red Harpy, who is Betty Brant. When she turns into a Hulk, she also gets like feathers and wings and talons. She looks like a harpy. Also, yes.
That wasn't in Fear itself for the 2 panels she showed up in that book, which is the only time I've ever read anything with Betty Brant.
Oh, it's an Immortal Hulk, which is a phenomenal book. You should all read it. And Sasquatch and Doc Samson. Those two are also gamma radiated people. Doc Samson is a super strong therapist. That's kind of it. He's a therapist who's super strong because of gamma radiation. Yes.
Does he have any relation to the mythical Samson?
I mean, he's supposed to evoke that, but, like, no, not really. And Sasquatch is a Canadian man who saw what happened to the Hulk and experimented on himself, and his Hulk form is basically Bigfoot. Yes.
So what about Jim Walters or A-Bomb?
A-Bomb is Rick Jones. He shows up, but he was not A-Bomb. What happens in Immortal Hulk is Rick Jones kind of fuses with another new character in the book, and they become a Cronenbergian monster that's constantly in pain.
Gross.
Yeah, it's gross. But it's a horror book. It's meant to be gross.
But I mean, like, is Abomination, A-Bomb, and Jen Walters?
Oh, Abomination's in there.
Are they gamma radiated?
Yeah, they're gamma radiated. I was talking about heroes, but Abomination's also part of it. And the thing with the Green Door is you walk through it, it's not guaranteed you get your body. So right now, Doc Samson's in Sasquatch's body. You can body swap if you're gamma radiated. So another person...
So it's a game of musical chairs?
Kind of. So another person embodied Abomination. So it's not Blonsky, it's a new person, but it's the Blonsky's body as Abomination. And Abomination's current look is he doesn't have the fins on the side of his head. What he has, and I'll visualize it, is a pair of hands that clasp his face like this. And when he wants to see, they go like this. It's a horror book. It's meant to be horrifying.
That's actually kind of cool. I would like.
Oh yeah.
Like imagine a Marvel Legends of that, where the hands are like on a hinge.
Mm-hmm. We also have Ant-Man. Hank Pym is a supreme scientist, and he invents some shit that makes him shrink.
Didn't that guy beat his fucking wife?
No, he didn't. He's actually one of the few people who didn't beat his wife because he just actually.
What?
Spider-Man has more of a claim to beating his wife than Hank Pym technically does. Because what happened in the book that everybody's referencing, Hank Pym was doing science, Janet walks up and goes like, hey, and Hank Pym, being out of it for a moment because he was going through a bipolar manic state, swings around like this and accidentally hits Janet Van Dyne, his wife. So, yes, he technically hit her, but he wasn't going, I'm gonna beat you. It was, what the fuck? Oh, shit. That kind of thing. So, but Spider-Man has genuinely, like, went, get the fuck off of Mary Jane. There's more of a claim for Spider-Man beating his wife than Hank Pym.
So what you're saying is we need to shove Peter Parker into obscurity and only make movies about Miles Morales from now.
Yeah, sure. Speaking of Spider-Man. Average kind of, yes.
When I was growing up, before the MCU, that was the only Marvel character I gave a shit about, and I'm willing to bet a lot of people would share that sentiment.
Spider-Man's a popular character. Like, if you talk about the big, important comic book superheroes, it's Batman, Superman, and the third one's always Spider-Man. But Spider-Man was your average 15-year-old dude, kind of nerdy, picked on at school, got bit by a radioactive spider, gained immense power, abused that power for his own gain, at the detriment of the fact that someone would kill his uncle. And he learned a lesson that great power must also come great responsibility, which is ultimately the entire philosophical theme of Marvel Comics. Is that, like, you have the ability to do something, you should probably help people. You know? That's kind of like the overarching theme. That's why Spider-Man teaches a lesson to a bunch of people. We also have Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is the Sorcerer Supreme. Dickhead Doctor loses the use of his hands, becomes magic. Yes.
Would you say he's the sorcerer with sour cream?
You know what? Early on he would eat that. Currently he can't, because magic in the Marvel Universe has one simple rule, that every piece of magic has its cost. So, you do a bunch of fucking magic, and you, like, kill a rabbit at the end of the day, you're good. You sacrifice something to do your magic. However, Doctor Strange is a good guy, and he doesn't really like doing that. So basically, the sacrifice
pile of magic vegetarian.
Oh yeah, no. The magic basically infects his body to the point where he can't eat human food. He has to eat, like, extra dimensional poison and shit just gunk and shit. And it tastes disgusting. He hates it, but that's the only thing he can eat because he doesn't want to hurt people. However, they do a bunch of things that's a little funny. Yeah.
Could he go back to eating human food if he started sacrificing stuff right now?
Eventually, but not immediately. It will probably take a while.
So if he wants a cheeseburger for his birthday, he's got to get started real soon.
Oh yeah. We also have the X-Men. The X-Men are a team of mutants led by Charles Xavier. Basically, they're meant to kind of be like a peacekeeping olive branch from mutant kind to humans. This is like, hey, we know mutants are scary. Here's a group of them that will help you out and do cool shit. And so they do. That's kind of what the X-Men are. They're very much a political entity within the mutant race. Yes.
What if, even though I acknowledge that's cool, I still hate mutants because they're weird and they scare me?
Then you are a racist, and you finally understand the point of the X-Men. That's the thing I just want to mention. Side tangent. People talk about, oh, the mutants don't make sense in the Marvel Comics. How can there be Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four with all these fantastic powers, and then everyone hates the mutants? Because racism doesn't make sense.
But I want my story to make sense.
It does make sense when you recognize that that's just a commentary on racism. It's just like, think of it like this. Spider-Man, the Fantastic Four, they're the good ones. Do you get it now?
I don't want
Do you
to
understand racism now?
I do, yes, thank you. Also, are we in the age of Marvels now? Because you never said that.
We are in the age of Marvel, so I'm just giving you, like, some major characters and major people.
Okay.
And we'll get into the story in, like, a few moments. I'm sorry. I want you to know this stuff so I can run through the story quickly.
Dark outside before my lecture starts off.
We have multiple lights, we're good.
That's true.
The Avengers. A bunch of just random superheroes team up, they fight threats that are bigger than a single person can fight. That's it. And Captain America. Captain America was created in the Age of Invaders in World War II. He is frozen and comes back to life after being frozen and joins contemporary superhero society.
You already talked about that guy.
Yeah, that's what I'm just mentioning. He comes back. He goes into the ice and he comes back. He was frozen for a while.
He returns. He gets a crossover episode.
Yeah, no, he stays. Just so you know, just so we have a frame of reference for power. So at the bottom, it's just regular humans. Next up, we have what we'll call heroes. Captain America, Daredevil, Spider-Man. These are people who are just like, who are a little bit stronger than humans. Then we have gods. This is Thor and people of his strength level. So Magneto, Storm, really powerful fuckers who are like, terraform a planet. Who can like wreck the earth if they wanted to. Next up, we have elder beings. These are the Mephistos, Null, Galactus, people like that.
The big boy.
Big boys. Then we have Celestials, which are even bigger boys, and then the one above all. So that's kind of like the frame of reference. So a lot of the people we're going to be talking about are heroes and gods, that kind of power strata, and every once in a while we'll be talking about some bigger people. Humans also appear in a lot of stuff. So there's a number of people who are just like humans that are like important. Daredevil is much more on that level than the heroes. The Punisher is much more on that level. Yes.
Who is Daredevil?
Daredevil is just a man who was trained by ninjas. He's blind, so his other senses are heightened a little bit more so than what would happen with a normal blind person. So he has like radar, super touch, super smell, that kind of thing. But that's Daredevil. He just hangs around, finds crime. He helps, but he's never like the linchpin in any major event.
He's also my fucking boy.
Yeah. And guess what? We're at the important time stuff.
Fucking finally!
We're at the stories. This is the timeline of
These
events.
are your reading recommendations.
Yes. So, the first things first. Fantastic Four become superpowered, everything, and in one of their early on appearances, they fight with a group of people who are trying to invade Earth called the Skrulls. The Skrulls come to invade Earth because it's fertile ground, it's out of the way, no one cares about it, no one cares about Earth. They fight the Skrulls.
I care about Earth.
We care about Earth, but no one intergalactic cares about Earth. So they fight the Skrulls, and basically they win by brainwashing the Skrulls into believing they are cows, and they shapeshift into cows, and they're just cows now.
Fuck.
That's how that story ends. They are cows now. We will bring up the cows later.
Okay.
Next is the forming of the Avengers. So, all these heroes are around doing things, and basically, Loki, who is a villain of Thor's, who's just running to cause shit, goes like, alright, I want to fuck with Thor. I'm gonna make it so it looks like the Hulk did some shit, so Thor has to go fight the Hulk. Ha ha ha. Right? But a bunch of other heroes find out the information, so they all team up to go fight the Hulk. They go fight the Hulk for a little bit, and they realize, oh wait, Loki's behind all this. They go fight Loki, and that's the formation of the Avengers.
That's a really lame way to fuck with somebody. He just should have just like put mashed potatoes in his boots or something.
Yeah, it's being a little dick, you know? But that's how the Avengers are formed.
They formed because Loki was a fucker.
Well, they formed because Loki was a fuckhead. Next song, later on, a couple years on, other heroes happen. Daredevil, Spider-Man, the X-Men show up. So people are just kind of being superheroes, having adventures. And then one day, a giant bald dude comes to Reed Richards and goes, "Yo, fuck! Galactus is coming." What the fuck's Galactus? You don't want to know. So basically, Galactus is coming to Earth to eat Earth. Yes.
I didn't know Cody existed in the Marvel Universe.
We have Uatu right here. Uatu, please. Please give a hand for Uatu. So, the Watcher comes down. He goes like, yo, I like Earth. I don't want to see it get eaten. So let's figure out a way to beat Galactus.
This is my favorite show. I don't want it to get canceled.
Yeah. The Silver Surfer shows up because Silver Surfer goes to a world and goes like, hey, you're about to get eaten. Prepare yourself. That's kind of all he does. And... Hey, you're about to get eaten. And then...
His job is literally just to go prepare your asshole.
Prepare your asshole. Galactus shows up. He goes like, alright, fuck, I don't give a shit about any of you. Alright, I'm just gonna start eating. As the Fantastic Four try to figure out a way to beat him. They eventually figure out that there's a weapon in his spaceship, Galactus' spaceship, that they can use against Galactus called the Ultimate Nullifier, which basically can do one of multiple things. After I do that to my computer. There we go. Multiple things. One of those is destroying all of reality. So that's a gamble. Another one is essentially nullifying the power of who you pointed at. It nullifies power. That's why it's called the Ultimate Nullifier. So basically, Reed Richards points it at Galactus and goes like, bitch, no. And Galactus goes like, whoa, fuck, dude. Alright, I'll leave. I won't fuck with you again. Shit. And so Galactus kind of doesn't fuck with him again. He shows up around more times to try and eat Earth, but he doesn't. He just doesn't. So that's coming of Galactus. Another big important thing is a man named Mar-Vell from the Kree comes to Earth to basically... Yes.
Mar-Vell?
Yeah, his name is Mar-Vell. Mar-Vell comes to Earth to basically prep it for Kree invasion.
What's next? You're going to tell me there's a guy named Kal-El?
Yeah. He comes to Earth, preps it for Kree invasion. But he likes Earth too much, so he tells the Kree to fuck off, and he becomes a superhero on Earth. Called Captain Marvel. He's just around Captain Marvel.
Will he ever do anything important again?
He's important in a variety of stories. And in fact, his one story, he is pretty important in upcoming. But he's important for the tone of Marvel. He's much more of like a thematic character from Marvel than a continuity character. Next up, the Avengers fight Ultron. So, him, Ant-Man, you know we talked about him? He wants to create a peacekeeping robot to try and help the world. So he creates Ultron by scanning his brain and making a robot. The robot goes like, yo, fuck humans though, and tries to kill everybody, and the Avengers stop him. It's just Ultron's a big, reoccurring threat and big threat to humanity.
He's just like me for real.
Just like me, for real, for real. And now, here's where Captain Marvel shows up again. This is the Kree-Skrull War. So, we've seen the Kree...
I thought you already talked about that.
We've seen the Kree, we've seen the Skrull. This is Earth's first appearance of the Kree-Skrull War. So, the Kree and the Skrull are both trying to gain territory intergalactically. And Earth is in a prime spot to basically set up battle stations and, like, things, right? It's a good spot to put things to help the war. So both the Kree and the Skrull at the same time come to Earth and battle. So, they do a bunch of different things. Mar-Vell is there, and they basically torment Mar-Vell to do some things. The Kree and the Skrull are both there. There's already Skrull insurgents there that show up when the Avengers are trying to leave town because of a variety of story-like reasons. They get shot down, and there's a famous line of Vision, who is a synthesoid robot created by Ultron in a previous story, comes crawling back to the Avengers saying, 3 cows shot me down. Those 3 cows from the Avengers, from the Fantastic Four story. So yeah.
Wow.
Basically, they fight the Kree, they fight the Skrull, and they basically just tell them both to fuck off. And they go like, fuck, this is too much trouble, we'll deal with this later. They leave Earth, and they keep fighting their war other places, but they leave Earth alone for right now. So, this is an event that's much more for the tone and themes of Marvel. This is the death of Gwen Stacy. So, Spider-Man, important character, he's been a fan favorite so far, going on.
My boy.
Yeah. Is dealing with a guy called Green Goblin. Green Goblin's a fuckhead. But he's a fuckhead who knows Spider-Man's secret identity. So to fuck with Spider-Man, he kidnaps his girlfriend, Gwen Stacy, and they go to a bridge, and he pushes Gwen Stacy off the bridge. Spider-Man tries to save her, and you hear a crack of a neck. Gwen Stacy is dead. And Spider-Man blames himself for killing her.
Damn, dude.
And this is basically the end of the innocence of Marvel. This is kind of like when they go like, things are real. Yes.
officially unofficially, because this is unofficial terminology, but the beginning of the Bronze Age of comics, widely considered to be. The Silver Age was the beginning of Marvel, and the Golden Age was the beginning of DC.
Yep. So Death of Gwen Stacy just changes the tone of Marvel from then on. It feels different, so all that kind of stuff. So, Fantastic Four. Sue Storm and Reed Richards get married. They're loving each other, they do all this stuff, and they do what married people do, they have a kid.
I thought their marriage came before the death of Gwen Stacy and the Kree Skrull War.
Probably, but I'm just more mentioning the marriage because I'm talking about something else.
Oh.
They do what most married people do. They fuck, and they have a kid named Franklin Richards. Franklin is a very important character. He's basically the remaining innocence of Marvel. He's a dude who just loves Marvel superheroes. He loves to hang out with Spider-Man.
He's just like me, for real.
He's a kid. He hangs out, that kind of stuff. But important thing is, as he grows up, he learns that he has a variety of powers where he can reshape reality. And one feature, he becomes a character called Scion, I think it is. But Franklin Richards is important. And no matter what Dan Slott says, he is a mutant. Because he links the Marvel Universe together. He is the son of the Fantastic Four. He is friends with Spider-Man, and he is a mutant himself. That kind of stuff. Just connections, yes.
All my homies hate and ignore Dan Slott's changes to comics.
As you should. So, all the while, this is happening. Up in the wilds of Canada, they are experimenting on a man named Logan, as far as they are aware, and imbuing him with a variety of weapons into his body called adamantium, coating his skeleton, creating Weapon X. Weapon X is a continuation of the first super soldier serum that was used to create Captain America. There are multiple iterations of weapons programs that create a bunch of different bad guys and good guys.
I thought the Captain America connection was only in the Ultimate Comic.
No, I think they retconned it in this.
Oh, okay.
Because he's not a part of the weapon program. He is considered Weapon Zero. Because X is 10. He is the 10th iteration of the weapon program.
Is that the first time they used X as 10 in relation to the X-Men?
Probably not. All the while at the same time, there is a bunch of vampire hunters hunting Dracula. Good. All the while, just Dracula's hanging around going, "Bleh, I'll drink your blood." All this fucking Marvel shit's happening, Dracula's going on. Yes.
Is Bram Stoker's Dracula the novel, not the movie, in Marvel continuity?
Yes.
Cool.
All the stuff that happened in Bram Stoker's Dracula happened in the comics.
So, is fucking Dr. Van Helsing and Lucy and all them?
Yeah, they're dead now, but yeah.
Sick.
But Dracula's a thing. He's hanging around doing stuff. All the while, in the X-Men, they go into space. They do some fun stuff. And Jean Grey gets hit with a thing called the Phoenix Force. We've talked about the Phoenix Force several times.
Yeah.
It jumpstarts her powers, makes her really, really strong, really, really powerful. So powerful, in fact, that she goes on to kill an entire planet.
Uh-oh.
Accused of genocide. They basically say, like, fuck you, die. She kills herself. She lets herself be killed, essentially, to atone for that. And that just creates a big power player.
First of many times.
Yes, it creates a big power player in later events. The next event is Emperor Doom. So, there's a guy called the Purple Man. He has the ability...
I know that guy. He's played by Doctor Who.
Yes, the Purple Man has the ability to basically, with pheromones, tell you what to do, and you'll do it. He can mind control you, essentially. Doctor Doom basically kidnaps him and uses him to mind control the entire world into following him. Doctor Doom is a classic enemy of the Fantastic Four, who fights FF several times. He is the dictator of a country known as Latveria. Big bad dude. And ultimately he wants to take over the world because he believes he can do a better job of it than people can. And in this story...
he's right.
Yeah, he takes over the world and basically peace, everyone's fed, no one's hungry. No one, like, he's right. He is not an asshole about it. He actually takes care of the problems. And the only reason why he is defeated is ultimately because you shouldn't force people into that. You shouldn't have to force them. That's the big thing.
Free will.
It's free will. It's free will. So, you know the Beyonders? I've talked about them. One of them has a dumb idea. He wants to see what happens when you fight good and evil. He wants to see what happens.
He wants to play with his action.
He wants to play with his action figure. So he kidnaps a bunch of heroes and a bunch of villains from from the Marvel universe. He puts them in a pocket universe, a realm, if you will, called Battle World, and he basically says, "Hey, good guys, hey, bad guys, fight." And the good guys are just going like, "All right, how the fuck do we get out of here?" And the bad guys are going like, "Sweet, free reign to kill them? Hell yeah!" That's it. Major things that happen in here is that Spider-Man comes into contact with a Clintar suit, which we do not know their Clintar name, but we do know their eventual name, Venom. He comes into contact with them, and it's Earth's first. It's not Earth's first contact with the Clintar race, but it is one of the more significant interactions. Yes.
Where does the Venom rap rank on your list of favorite Eminem songs?
Very low. So yeah, that's where Venom comes from, and Secret War. Now, we've talked about Captain Marvel, Mr. Marvel, for a little bit. So through his adventures, he gets cancer.
Shit.
And he dies.
Shit.
And he's still dead. He will never be brought back.
Shit.
But genuinely, he is one of the few characters in Marvel Comics that will never come back. And that, again, is part of the tone stuff. Like with Gwen Stacy, it is very much a thematic reason. Because the story, The Death of Captain Marvel, was written by Jim Starlin, basically grieving his father, who just recently passed from cancer. So, like, it's meant to be symbolic, and it's also just kind of like a big thing with Marvel. It's like, yeah, Reed Richards is a big dick scientist. He can do a lot of cool shit. He can't cure cancer. Cancer's not a thing we can cure in the Marvel universe, because it's not a thing we can cure in this universe, and they want to take it seriously. So that's a big thing with Marvel. So, remember that fucking black suit, that Clintar suit Spider-Man had?
Yeah.
It's fucking evil.
Oh shit.
It's fucking it's an asshole. It's a dick.
Oh damn.
It's telling Peter Parker to be an asshole. And he
Oh,
doesn't like
fuck.
it. He doesn't like it. So he goes to a church because the suit doesn't like bells, because it doesn't like loud noises. Because there's a reason
So
for
it
it.
really wouldn't like me then.
No, because there's a reason for it now. Because as Noel was creating the Clintars, the symbiotes, he forged them in a fire with a hammer. So they do not like to be reminded of the fire and the hammer that made them.
That sounds like a lot of extra stretchy bullshit.
It's myth making. It's myth. So Spider-Man gets rid of the suit, the Clintar, the symbiote, and it falls on a dude called Eddie Brock. Eddie Brock is a tabloid journalist who is down on his luck because Spider-Man and Peter Parker basically ruined his career. Yes.
Would it be fair to say he's scum?
Yeah, he's scum. He's a piece of shit. He's an asshole. No one likes Eddie Brock. So he gets the Venom suit, and he goes like, "Oh shit, I can fucking beat up Spider-Man and Peter Parker. Oh wait, shit, Peter Parker's Spider-Man. Fuck him." And he goes and fights him, and he's a bad guy for a while. Eddie Brock does reform himself later on. He becomes a good guy. He becomes a dad. We'll talk about that more in the King of Black event. So, around this time, vampires are also put to an end. They get better. They come back. But basically a bunch of vampire hunters, with the help of Doctor Strange, use what's essentially an anti-Darkhold to get rid of vampires. There's just no more vampires. Yes.
Is that the Book of Ashanti?
Yes, it is the Book of Ashanti. So they get rid of vampires for a while. Vampires come back, but there's no more vampires right now. And then we have the Infinity Gauntlet set of events. So Thanos, the guy from Titan, the Eternal, who has the Synth, who's a deviant, he goes, "Fuck! I want to kill half the universe. Because I want death to notice me." So he gets these things called the Infinity Gems. He gets a glove and he puts the Infinity Gems on them, and he goes like, "All right, cool. I have ultimate power of creation." He kills half the universe. There's no reason behind it. He just wants to kill half the universe because he wants Death to notice him. So Death shows up and does nothing. She just stares at him and goes like, "What the fuck are you doing, bitch?" And the remaining heroes are just going like, "Fuck you, you asshole."
What the fuck are you doing, bitch?
So the remaining heroes are basically trying to figure out a thing. Eventually, it is Nebula who grabs the gauntlet, does some shit, and eventually the gauntlet gets out of her hand, and someone else basically goes like, fucking rewind, resets everything. That's kind of it. This also causes other events that aren't as impactful to the grand scheme of Marvel, but that's very important. There's other Infinity events. They create doppelgangers of a bunch of villains. The only one that matters is Spider Doppelganger because he sticks around for fucking ever. So, yeah, Thanos does
got
shit.
Marvel Legends.
Yeah, Thanos does shit. And then we have the Genosha. So, you know how I told you about mutants?
Yeah.
Well, mutants are hated by a lot of fucking humans. So there's a bunch of mutants who go like, fuck this shit, I'm out. They go to an island named Genosha. Genosha basically becomes a mutant haven. It's just where a bunch of mutants fucking live for a while. Until a bunch of humans go, you know what? Fuck the mutants. And they blow up Genosha. They kill all the mutants on Genosha. What you think? Literally, they just drop nukes on Genosha. They're just dead now. That's what happens to Genosha.
Please tell me the guys who made that decision died.
In the comics?
Yeah.
I don't know. No, I think it might have been. I don't know if they're dead. But yeah, no, they killed Genosha.
You think that would happen in the Colin Magneto book?
Oh, yeah. So after Genosha, there's a very important event that we'll just call the JLA Avengers event. Because it is canon in Marvel Comics. This has not been retconned at all. It still happens. So basically, yes.
When are you going to talk about Clark Kent?
Right now.
Yeah.
So, in another universe, there's a bunch of superheroes, a bunch of goody two-shoes, just real up their own ass, believing that they know exactly what to do about bad guys, are starting to realize, oh shit, we're in an intergalactic bullshit measuring contest with another universe. And they gotta go collect a bunch of items to stop the bad guy and the other universe. They get to the other universe and they see all the shit that's happened, like the mutants and Genosha and a guy called Frank Castle, the Punisher, whose family died in a gangland firing squad. And he just goes like, you know what? Fuck crime. I'm just gonna kill anybody who commits crime. So he does that. Yes.
Does the Punisher kill jaywalkers?
I don't think he kills jaywalkers. I think he gives them a good black eye, though. So basically, he does all that. And yes.
Is it okay to wear the Punisher symbol?
No. Not right now, at least. Eventually, it'll be better, but not right now. If you wear the new Punisher symbol, no one will know what you're wearing, but you can wear it.
Stinky symbol.
It's a good story, though.
Yeah. But...
I've only read the latest issue, but I like it.
So yeah, what was I going on? So yeah, the JLA, Justice League of America, is a bunch of DC superheroes. This is Superman, Batman, Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, The Flash. They all come to the Marvel Universe and go like, wow, this shit stinks. How the fuck are the heroes doing anything? Yes.
You didn't say Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman's there. And basically they fight the Marvel heroes for a while because they ultimately disagree on each other's principles. The Justice League of America of DC Comics believes that Marvel superheroes do not do enough to protect their people, and that ultimately they're failures as superheroes. While the Marvel superheroes believe the DC characters are fundamentally too Armstrong. They're too impactful. They're worshipped not unlike gods in their universe, and they feel like that is a gross mistrust of ability in what they do. Yes?
They're shitty comic book writers, is what you're saying. The Marvel characters are shitty comic book writers.
No, because ultimately they fight the thing, they realize, oh shit, the bad guy is someone who we gotta both fight. They team up, they work together, they beat the big bad guy, and the universes untangle each other, and they go their separate ways, and they realize, you know what? We are having to deal with two different issues, and we're dealing with it the best way we can. you guys are pretty cool, and now you guys are pretty cool, and they go their separate ways. It is still canon in Marvel Comics. I do not know if it's canon in DC Comics.
I don't know what the fuck is or isn't canon in DC, so don't even go into that.
But it's it's another tone-setting piece from Marvel. It's a big thing. But because of all that, the Avengers are a little bit frayed, but not all together. And one Avenger named Scarlet Witch, who is a person who has chaos magic, basically a very powerful form of magic, heavily related to Chiffon and the Darkhold, is getting a little manic, and she's not doing great. And basically causes a bunch of events in quick succession that pushes the Avengers to their limit to the point where they break. They can't be the Avengers anymore. And an event called Avengers Disassembly. They realize that Scarlet Witch is the cause of it, so her father, Magneto, and her close confidant, Professor Charles Xavier, take her away for a while to basically try and rehabilitate, get her back up in working order. However, they do it in the charred remains of Genosha, and just an abandoned building on this nuked island.
That doesn't sound...
Oh no, it's fucked. And the Avengers go like, this is a little fucked. They go there and everyone starts arguing, and the fucking Scarlet Witch goes, fuck this shit, and creates a massive reality warp called House of M. Where basically she makes mutants the predominant species on Earth, and humans are beneath them. Humans are treated like garbage. And every hero that was in the vicinity basically gets essentially their wild dreams. They get what they want. So Spider-Man becomes like a beloved hero because he's always shat on in real life. A bunch of other characters get what they want. And slowly some characters realize things aren't exactly what they seem. Yes?
Doesn't he also get to have Gwen Stacy as his wife?
Yes,
that is the thing. Mary Jane Watson.
That is the thing that happens, but I can understand that because it's someone that it's a great mistake in his life, and he would like to take that back. And if he could take it back, that would be the events that would lead up. They would get married. Basically, they realize this is all a lie. They go to Scarlet Witch and go like, "Hey, this is kind of fucked up," and she goes like, "Fine," and they end the mass hallucination and end their new reality. And ultimately, Scarlet Witch goes like, "Know what? Know what caused a lot of this shit? Fucking mutants. No more mutants." So she uses her reality warping powers to basically depower about 95% of the mutant population on Earth. So there are too many mutants. Now there's a very small number of mutants, and they are very small, localized, close knit community, and everybody hates them even more because there's only a few of them. You know who it's targeted. So that's all that happened. And then a couple of dipshit young superheroes are doing a reality show. They're going on an adventure. They're trying to beat a guy. And then they blow up a school. They blow up a part of a town and a school specifically, killing hundreds of kids and a number of civilians. And people are going, superheroes have too much power. They need to be held accountable. So Tony Stark, Reed Richards, and a couple other characters, yes.
This is how you know it's fiction. In reality, nobody gives a shit about bad things happening at school.
Yeah, no one would give a shit. But basically, Tony Stark, Reed Richards, and a couple other characters go to the government with a concept called superhuman registration. Where basically, if you have a superhuman ability, you register with the government, and they just keep a track of everything, so people can be held accountable. However, Captain America sees that for a giant breach of trust and privacy, and goes and personalhood and all that kind of stuff, and goes no. He takes a bunch of heroes, and they basically fight a guerrilla war against the registration heroes in an event known as Civil War. There's a bunch of things that happen. Spider-Man reveals his identity, which has been secret for all this time. It gets better. No, it doesn't.
That's the moment where Spider-Man as a character dies.
Yeah, it's not great. Basically, he reveals his identity, his life goes to shit, someone kills his aunt, and he goes I want to fix everything. So he makes a deal with the devil. It fixes everything. But now he's just like Arrested Development. He hasn't grown as a character.
And now only people who have issues letting go read his book.
Yeah.
I'm including us in that.
Yeah. But basically they have a big fight and Captain America sees the destruction that they have caused and goes like, fuck, this ain't worth it. So he gives up. But eventually he is assassinated with it's not a time bullet.
I thought it was a time bullet.
No, it is a time bullet. He gets assassinated with a time bullet. He goes through time for a little bit. He gets better. His best friend, Bucky, becomes Captain America for a little bit. He's cool. Yes.
Carries a gun, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah, he goes through carry. Here's the thing. Captain America has carried guns. He just doesn't carry guns as a superhero because he doesn't need them. But, like, if he's fighting a war, he's going like, nah, fucking guns.
Yeah, in World War II, he carried pretty much like everything.
Yeah. He's not afraid of guns. It's just more of like, I'm fighting regular people and just trying to stop them from robbing a bank. I don't need to fire a gun against them.
Does anyone in Marvel have a no guns policy akin to Batman?
The closest would be Tony Stark. But that's mostly for other people because he doesn't want them using his weapons.
Yeah, so it's like, no, not my gun.
Yes. There is a person who has the exact opposite philosophy as Batman, and that's the Punisher, which is yes guns. All guns, please. So yeah,
Punisher is 4chan personified.
Yeah. So that's
Don't do that.
yeah. So that's a Civil War event, superhero versus superhero. Now there's a registration. People and superheroes are starting to ask the question of like, how are we going to hold ourselves responsible? What is a superhero? How far should we go? How should we help people? That kind of stuff. That's a question that's in the air. Meanwhile, Reed Richards and Tony Stark didn't want the Incredible Hulk involved in Civil War. Because whichever side the Hulk took in the conflict, that side would win. Because the Hulk is that fucking powerful.
So basically, Tony Stark knew he was gonna get the shit kicked out of him if he didn't get rid of the Hulk, because the Hulk needs his secret identity to survive most of the time.
Yeah, no, everyone knows Bruce Banner's Hulk.
But he needs to be able to hide. If he registers with the government, he's fucked.
Yes, but so he also wrecked a town in Nevada recently, so they're using that as an excuse. And they basically get the Hulk in a spaceship and go like, all right, Hulk, we're sending you to a very peaceful planet over here where you can just live the rest of your life without hurting anybody or doing anything like that. The ship gets off course and lands on a planet called Sakaar. Which is big, yes.
That's where Jurassic Park man is, right?
Yes. Well, he's not in it in the comics. They muck with things a little bit, so different thing. But yeah, that's in the MCU. That's where Game Master is. So
you kind of slurred it there, and it sounded like Gay Master.
I mean, look at it. So he comes to a planet that's basically like sci-fi ancient Rome. There's slaves, there's empires, there's all that kind of stuff, and there's a gladiatorial ring. Now you have a big, tough, strong guy, and you want him to fight. You kind of put him in the gladiator ring. So he becomes friends with a bunch of guys. They make a team. They make a crew called the Warbound, and they become gladiators. And they basically incite a revolution on this planet where the Hulk becomes the new like emperor, the new king. He's the ruler now. He's like big dick on campus. The spaceship the Hulk was on, though, however, was malfunctioning. And the super science engine blew up and killed most everyone on the planet. So the Hulk got pissed because he was finally happy. He had a family. He was like, I'm content. I'm happy now.
People respected him.
People respected him. People loved him. And then they all died. So he's like, all right, time to go back to Earth and kill all the people that ruined my happiness in an event known as World War Hulk. Because he thought originally that they had purposely done it, when in fact it was by accident. No one purposely did it. And I'm pretty sure that's how it got resolved. It's just like he learned to, yeah.
I thought it was the Illuminati that planned that and did it on purpose.
They didn't do it on purpose. I think that was by a mistake, the blowing up stuff.
I always understood it to be that they planned the spaceship to not collide with anything and just explode in like deep empty space.
I don't know.
Who are the Illuminati?
The Illuminati is a secret superhero team that basically is headed by the major leader of most of the major factions of the Marvel Universe. So you have Tony Stark, who represents humankind. You have Mr. Fantastic, who represents kind of like all the mutates, all the people who get powers. You have Professor Charles Xavier, who is a preeminent mutant leader who is representing the mutants. Then you have Black Dark Boltagon, also known as Black Bolt, who is the king of the Inhumans. And then you have Namor the Submariner, who basically controls the seas, and he's also a big enough asshole that if they didn't invite him, he'd be a bitch about it.
A lot of cis white men.
Yes, there's an entire issue where they just go like, yo, our wives, though. Of their miniseries, there's an entire issue where they just go like, my wife is pretty cool. Nice.
That's gonna be the best issue of the series then.
Oh, Namor fucking goes to Reed Richards, because Namor likes Sue Storm. He has a crush on her. He goes like, if you don't fucking take care of your wife, I'm gonna fucking try and cuck you. And he goes like, you're not gonna be able to fucking cuck me. Yes.
Would it not be a lot easier if he just asked if they could be a throuple?
No, because Reed Richards cannot stand that. So Planet Hulk happens, they fight, all that kind of stuff. Hulk's now back on Earth. All the while, in space, a bunch of shit is happening called Annihilation.
Oh, dude.
So, Annihilation... Okay, so you know the negative zone I talked about briefly?
Uh-huh.
There's a guy in the negative zone. His name is Annihilus.
I remember this man.
He looks like a robot bug dude, and he just screams all the time. Yes.
He's Kamen Rider?
I mean, I wouldn't put it past it. He looks like he could be a Kamen Rider, sure. So he's a robot bug dude. And basically, he just likes to fucking destroy shit. He's just like, fuck it, I hate it. Fuck you. There's a lot of characters that just don't like things. They don't like the concept of stuff.
Get this shit out of here!
They would love Mary. What's the fucking woman on Netflix who just goes like this for
Marie Kondo!
They would love her minimalist lifestyle.
This week on fucking Tidying Up with Marie Kondo, we have...
How can I clean everything? No more things! This does not spark joy. So basically, he has a giant fucking wave of bugs that are just destroying shit, and it's just everyone's going like, oh shit, let's fucking get out of the way. And they do a bunch of stuff. They basically create a bunch of refugees trying to get out of the way of this destruction and figure out a way to stop it. And the way they stop it is Thanos shows up and he goes like, yo, Annihilus, what the fuck you doing? And he just hangs out with Annihilus for a little bit to see what Annihilus is doing. And Thanos realizes, oh, this is just bullshit. This is destruction for destruction's sake. He's not even trying to get with death. What the fuck you doing, bitch? Lame. And he basically stops the Annihilation wave.
He's like, I can't have sex because of this. What the fuck?
Yeah. And he stops it. This is also where Drax the Destroyer gets a new body. Drax the Destroyer. It's just a dude who's just built to destroy Thanos. He's just a dude who is designed to kill Thanos. And he gets a new body to try and kill Thanos. And he does kill Thanos. So good for him. He's played by Batista.
I was gonna say, does he ever Batista bomb Thanos?
No. How he kills Thanos is working on a thing to kill Annihilus, and Drax just goes like through his torso. That's what he does. And Thanos just looks down and goes like, oh, so that's what pain feels like.
Fan artists, please make me an image of Thanos taking the Batista bomb.
Yeah. Actually, Drax the Destroyer isn't an alien in the comics. He's a human dude who just got kidnapped and turned into
What the fuck?
Green Monster Man.
He plays the saxophone.
He does play the saxophone.
Oh my god.
Yeah. He also has a daughter named Moondragon. She's bald, lesbian, who has psychic powers.
Yeah, and they.
Yeah.
When will she be in? Will she be in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3?
You know what? I wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah, but haven't they just confirmed that
His
No.
family's dead.
Oh shit!
Well, not just that,
He
but
literally says his daughter is dead.
but he's not. He's like alien.
Yeah, but they can make her an alien. They can just make her green.
He could fuck somebody else.
There's a variety of ways you can put Moondragon in.
James Gunn, please.
But yeah. By the way, her girlfriend is from an alternate universe, so that's the thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
It'd be rough if that's how far out you gotta look.
Yeah. And
I've heard about long distance relationships,
She's
but
like-
that is ridiculous.
so that's Annihilation. They beat the Annihilation wave, but it completely changes space. There's a new leader of the Kree. There's a new leader of the Skrull. Everything's changed. The Nova Corps is no more. They're all dead. There's a new superhero team that's like in space trying to help people called the Guardians of the Galaxy.
The Nova Corps gets better, don't they?
Nova Corps gets kind of better.
Oh, okay. So they have a full-on Green Lantern rebirth. then.
No, it's more of like there used to be millions of Nova Corps. Now there's like 100 Nova Corps. Like they're very small, and the main Nova Corps, the Hal Jordan of the Nova Corps, the guy who's like the main one we care about. It's just kind of like hanging with the Guardians of the Galaxy more often. He's more of like an intergalactic diplomat kind of dude, just helping people out.
Then he's not like Hal Jordan at all.
No, and the Guardians of the Galaxy are basically like a bunch of superpowered people who go around the galaxy helping where they can. They act a little bit like mercenaries, but they aren't really mercenaries. So that's all the big cosmic space stuff. Next, we have to deal with Spider-Man. Because Spider-Man revealed his secret identity in Civil War, and he don't like that. So he makes a deal with Mephisto to get rid of his marriage.
You went over this already.
No, I'm just saying, this is kind of when it happens in the time.
Oh, okay.
So that's when it happens. The next
The room stops.
the next event is Secret Invasion. So, a bunch of people have actually been Skrulls for a long time. They've been kidnapped and turned into and Skrulls took their place.
I love how you just like bum rushed through all like the entire 20th century, and now we've spent like an hour on everything since 2001.
It happens. Most of the old stuff is like, hey, this thing happened and it's kind of important. Now it's just like, that completely changes the entire landscape of the comics because it completely changes the landscape. It's fucked.
Event comics are fucked.
It's fucked. God damn you, Jim Shooter. Why did you invent event comics?
Because he wanted money.
Secret Invasion. Skrulls take over a bunch of superheroes and they're basically, it's a secret invasion. They stop the Skrulls. They stop them. That's kind of it. People don't trust superheroes anymore because of it. Because it's like, what the fuck?
Weren't like a bunch of people revealed to have actually been a Skrull for a long time, and that
Yep.
fucks up some past stories.
Yep, Spider-Woman was one. Elektra was one. There's a couple. Yes.
Who's Elektra?
Elektra's not important to the grand scheme of things because she's just like,
She's Daredevil's wife.
she's Daredevil's wife. She just is around. She deals with the Beast sometimes, so like there's the thing. She's a ninja who deals with the Beast.
And before anyone corrects me in the comments, read Zdarsky's Daredevil.
Yeah, they're currently married. So that's Secret Invasion. The next big event deals with the universes, deals with the multiverse, and deals with the small retcon to our little boy Spider-Man. So this is the Spider-Verse event.
Oh, I didn't think you would cover this.
Well, it changes the multiverse.
Mm.
Because, okay, so let me put it like this. I haven't mentioned him because he has not actually shown up in the goddamn comics. They have mentioned him. They have talked about him, but he has never shown up in the goddamn comics. There is a Spider God who is just around in the multiverse. In every universe, he likes to pick a dude who will represent the spider, called the Spider Totem. And guess who that is in 616? Peter fucking Parker.
This guy sounds pretty cool. He sounds like he has a good life. Does fun things.
Sometimes. So basically, this is a retcon that kind of implies that Peter Parker was predestined to be Spider-Man. My interpretation of it, there's a few bits of canon. This is one of them. Yeah.
You have to have an interpretation of it because most people just hate it the way it's presented in the comics.
The way I interpret it is like this. Peter Parker got the spider powers. And then the spider dude was like, yo, I like the cut of your jib. And picked him as the totem. It is spider powers first, totem second.
He was not the predestined to become.
He was not predestined to
the comics imply.
No, he was accidentally Spider-Man, then he became the Spider Totem because he fit the energy that the Spider God wanted more than anybody else. That's kind of it. So, there's these bunch of fucking energy vampires who really like the taste of Spider-Man, going around all the different multiverses, killing Spider-Man. So all the other Spider-Men of the universes go like, yo, we should team up and kill the vampires. Yes.
Are they related to regular, like, Dracula vampires?
No! They're just dudes who drink energy and like the taste of Spider-Man.
It's weird.
So basically they go have a fight with all the Spider-Men. The Spider-Men trick all the energy vampires into staying in a universe in the multiverse that's just nuclear irradiated, and they have no powers and they can't get out of it. And they restore the web of the multiverse, which is basically a thing that links the multiverse.
Will you please talk about Takuya Yamashiro now?
Yes, he's a Spider-Man from a different universe. He was co-created by Toei Entertainment, a Japanese entertainment company who creates a bunch of tokusatsu. He is Japanese Spider-Man, or Toei Spider-Man as he's often called. He's a Japanese man who was visited by spider-themed aliens, given spider powers and a giant robot to fight bad guys.
He's the emissary of hell, and he's fucking awesome.
Some other important Spider-Man, because multiversal Spider-Man is like an important thing now. You have 2099, he's a guy from the future, Miguel O'Hara. You have Miles Morales, who is the second Spider-Man of his universe. You've looked up to Peter Parker, he's a cool dude. You have, yes?
Gwen Stacy.
Gwen Stacy, the person who died, who Spider-Man couldn't save, instead in their universe became a Spider-Person themselves. You also have, I can't remember, you have a guy from India who's Spider-Man. You have Spiders Man, which is a sentient hive of spiders who believes they are a man. You have Spider-Ham, who is Peter Parker, a spider that was bit by a radioactive pig. Yes.
Did Spider-Porker, or did
Spider-Man.
Did Spider-Pig exist before the Simpsons movie, or was...
Spider-Ham existed in the 70s.
Because did they have to get a license from Marvel for the Simpsons movie to make that joke?
Probably.
Wow.
Spider-Ham was a character in a line of funny animal Marvel parody books that they put out. That was just like, hey, here's Marvel characters as funny animals. Yeah. Other ones include some different versions of Peter Parker. One of the Spider-Mans that die is the one from the Hostess fruitcake ads in the comics. They kill that one. They kill Spider-Man from Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
Damn.
They also kill Iceman and Firestorm in that.
What the fuck?
I think
They didn't do anything. They didn't have spider energy.
I think they also killed Aunt May.
What the fuck?
The panel you see that in, you just see a bunch of dead bodies and the vampires leaving, and the fucking dog from the cartoon is just like on top of the bodies going,
That's fucked up.
it's fucked up.
Fuck you, Dan Slott.
It's a Dan Slott story. There's a reason we said fuck Dan Slott. So yeah, no, they beat the fucking vampires, and the Spider-Verse is a thing. Next we have Original Sin. The only thing we really need to know about Original Sin is that Nick Fury fucks with Thor, makes him so he can't use his hammer anymore, and the Watcher is dead. The Watcher is dead, he cannot watch, but Nick Fury is cursed to be the Watcher, so he's now on the moon, watching Earth, while his black son is on Earth controlling S.H.I.E.L.D.
He's DVRing the show for Uatu.
Yeah.
Well, Uatu's on vacation.
Yeah. So, by the way, Nick Fury has a black son named Nick Fury Jr., who looks exactly like Samuel L. Jackson, who's just running around doing shit.
Because movies.
Yeah. So Thor can't use his hammer anymore. Uatu is dead. Nick Fury's on the moon, DVR, and Earth. Uatu does get better, and Nick Fury becomes the agent of Uatu.
Okay, serious question here.
Yeah.
Will Zoomers even know what DVRs are?
He makes Earth Netflix. Next, we have the incursions. So you know all this multiverse shit that we've been dealing with that just happens? It's like, oh shit, fucking what? So, if you put enough energy into the multiverse, different universes clash together and destroy themselves. This is an event known as the incursions. You probably have heard about this in Multiverse of Madness. They happen semi-regularly in different pockets of the multiverse. But in relation to this, the Illuminati go like, oh shit, that's an alternate universe. Let's fucking blow it up to protect ourselves. So they do that for a while. It's kind of fucked. Yeah. Captain America calls them fucking assholes for it.
That's literal genocide.
Yeah, no. They do it. Until eventually the incursions get so bad that there is no way to protect their reality anymore, their universe. And Doctor Doom goes like, alright, I have an idea. Doom World.
What?
So Doctor Doom, with the help of a guy named Molecule Man, who basically has control of molecules in their entirety. He can just control molecules. Work together with Doctor Strange to save sections of the universes that remain because of the incursions. Put them together in what is known as War World or Doom World, with Doom as God King Emperor. He is basically omnipotent, super powerful, he's control of things, and he's trying to keep people alive. However, there's a small group of survivors from the previous universe who are in this new place and go like, oh shit, this is fucked, we need to save everything, we need to fix things. That person being Reed Richards, Miles Morales, and Peter Parker. They're like three big important people in this story. So, on one side, you have Peter Parker and Miles Morales, two Spider-Man. They find Molecule Man, who's just in a white void, and Molecule Man just goes like, man, I'm hungry. And Miles Morales gives him a cheeseburger. And that just makes him their friend.
What a bro!
Yeah, just a bro. Just gets a cheeseburger. All the while, Reed Richards basically goes to Dr. Doom and calls him a bitch. Dr. Doom goes, no, I'm not. And then Reed Richards goes, yes, you are, and I can prove it. And then Dr. Doom goes like, all right, fine, prove it. So Reed Richards, with
the receipts.
So Reed Richards, with the powers that Doom has acquired to create Doom World, basically restarts the universe from the 7th cosmos to the 8th cosmos. They reboot the universe, but it's the same universe? So, what? It's a reboot name only. So,
doesn't that technically break the rules?
It does break the rules, but it's Reed Richards. He can break it.
Okay.
So, we're now in the 8th cosmos. All the entities are the same entities. It's just more of like, hey, Eternity, you get another chance. Let's do this again. Okay? Without all the incursion bullshit. So they do all of that. And basically, Sue Storm, Reed Richards, their kids, and a bunch of other people with Molecule Man go like, alright, we need to just kind of fix the multiverse real quick, so we're just going to take a trip around and do that. So they're out of the story for a little bit. And Earth just kind of goes back to normal. And the big reason why Reed proves Doom wrong is he basically does the one thing Doom was never able to do, which was fix his face. So Doom is now on Earth, he takes off his mask, he looks at his face and goes like, Reed Richards, you fucking asshole, I'm handsome again. And that's kind of where Doom is.
You asshole, you made me pretty.
You asshole, you made me pretty. You proved yourself right. I was inferior. Okay. So
we're up to 2014 now.
That is Secret War.
The thing responsible for rebooting the Robbie Reyes comics and then ruining.
Yeah.
Damn.
So.
Wait, who is Robbie Reyes?
Robbie Reyes is a superhero that is like a Ghost Rider, but it's not a Ghost Rider. Because normally to be a Ghost Rider, you need to be inhabited by a being called the Spirit of Vengeance, Zarathos, Mephisto, all that stuff. He is in fact possessed by his dickhead uncle,
Uncle Eli.
Uncle Eli, and
He's a Ghost Rider in name.
Ghost Rider name only. Yes. So the next big event that we have. Remember the Gotati?
Sort of.
No.
Remember the plant people that got fucked over by the Kree?
Oh.
Well, they come to Earth and go like, "Hey, yo, Earth, ours now.
What?
We planted a giant fucking tree and we're naming it Empire. Fuck you.
That is not how property laws work, sir.
It's ours now." And so the superheroes fight them. And the Kree and the Skrull go like, "Fuck, we fucked up. We're assholes. Fucking friends? Yeah, let's be friends." So now the Kree and the Skrull are no longer warring.
What?
And they're now in a thing called the Kree-Skrull Alliance, and their king is Hulkling. From the so there's a dude who is half Kree, half Skrull, an abomination by both their cultural standards, who's just been on Earth pretending to be a little Hulk, who's now the king of this alliance, with his husband Wiccan, who is the son of Scarlet Witch, who has magic.
So, just because this dude exists and because the Kotate were doing fucked up shit, these two races who have been at war for so long that they can't even remember why just went, yeah, fuck it, let's just be bros.
Yeah, essentially.
That sounds like bad writing to me, but I'm gonna trust you that it makes sense.
Oh, nobody gives a shit about Empire. People like what happened. People like the Kree-Skrull Alliance, as far as I'm aware, but no one gives a shit about Empire. Like, I'm not even bringing up the fact that Mantis was part of it, Swordsman was part of it, there's a fucking dude who is basically Plant Jesus. I'm not even bringing any of that up.
What the fuck? What is wrong with comic fans? This sounds insane.
So next, we have the event called Avengers No Surrender. So remember Game Master I talked about, the guy who likes games?
No.
Yeah.
Well, he's not the first Game Master. He's actually the second Game Master, and there was a dude before him who's now called Challenger. And Challenger goes up and goes like, "Hey, I want to be the Game Master again." And Game Master goes like, "Fuck you."
Has he ever challenged the unknown?
Maybe. But basically, the Game Master goes like, "Hey, fuck you, and we have a game to prove it." So they each pick teams, and they pick a place to have those teams fight over shit. And Game Master, being a tricky bitch, picks Earth. So all the Avengers are there to fuck up everything. To purposely fuck up everything. And, at this point in time, the Hulk had died. The Hulk was dead, and the Challenger brings him back to life. But he's an asshole and evil now. The Hulk is evil now. And that's Immortal Hulk. And he can't die now. So basically, they do all that because the fan favorite Avenger, known as Voyager, shows up and goes like, "Hey, Avengers, we need to stop this." And everyone's like, "Oh yeah, we love Voyager. What's up?"
Has anybody ever mistakenly called him a feature?
No, because she was actually never an Avenger. She's just the daughter of the Game Master who really likes the Avengers.
What the?
And basically wants to help them and join the Avengers.
So she made a self-insert fanfic, is what you're telling me.
Yeah. Now she's an Avenger. She helps out. She's just around. She's in space more often, but she likes the Avengers. She helps out.
Okay.
So they beat the Challenger. Game Master comes back, and Game Master's like an asshole, and goes like, "I don't fucking care about my daughter." So all the Avengers like, "She's our daughter now." Right? So they do all that. The Hulk is back, and then we have Immortal Hulk, which is a big horror book, and the Hulk does a bunch of fucked up shit. He goes to down below, talks to the one below wall, and the one below wall goes like, "I'm actually the one above all, and I just treat you like shit to teach you lessons." And the Hulk goes like, "Fuck you. Fuck that bullshit. No, I've learned a lesson. Get out. Let me get out of this story."
He's like, that sucks.
Yeah, and that's what happens.
Man, this womps. I'm out of here.
Yeah, so that's the Green Door, that's the Hulk, that's what happens there. And then he turns himself into a spaceship. Starship.
Jefferson?
Yeah. Cool. All the while, no, the mutants are treated like shit and people hate them.
Yeah.
Well, they decide to go to an island because fuck all of them.
Cool.
Again.
What? Oh, fuck yeah. Isn't it actually the third time they do
Yeah, because there's another time that I'm not mentioning because nothing happened called Utopia. It was off the coast of San Francisco.
It was fucking Alcatraz Island, wasn't it?
I think so. It's a bunch of shit happened. Yeah. Krakoa is a living island that has been around for... Before the Eternals. Before the Eternals were made, Krakoa was around. Where basically the mutants go like, hey, Krakoa, can we live here? And Krakoa's like, yeah, sure, whatever. Just, like, don't trash the place. And the mutants are like, alright, cool, we won't trash the place. So they live there now. They can't die, because they have pods. So if they die, you come back in the pod.
They're pod people?
They're pod people now. There's a bunch of cool shit going on. Ultimately, that's just kind of like their status quo right now. They're living on the island. Yes?
If I kill myself, will I come back as a mutant?
No. And that's actually a big contentious thing. Humans hate them even more because they don't have immortality. And
Jesus Christ.
fuck you guys.
Fucking Marvel humans are petty fucking assholes.
Oh, we'll get to that in a moment. So
are real humans.
This is true.
yeah. So a bunch of little things happen. They have a thing called the Ten of Swords. They go to Otherworld. They fight a big war. They they fucking go to Mars and make it a habitable planet. They become intergalactic tradespeople because they make a fancy new metal that everybody wants. Bunch of little things happen. Oh yeah, they make a astral plane church on Mars that people can just go to. Just a bunch of fun little things happening with mutants on Krakoa. Now, remember Null?
No.
The guy who hates shit and made the symbiotes? Well, he's back, and he wants to fucking kill everybody. So he comes to Earth, he covers the whole thing in goo, and the only people who can stop him is Spider-Man and Venom. Eddie Brock. Because Eddie Brock, he's tired of being a fuckboy. He's gonna be a fuck man. He's manning up, and he fights the Null, and he becomes the new Null. Except he doesn't want to kill everything, he just has all the powers.
Sick.
So yeah, no, Eddie Brock is like a god being. The best way to put the way he described it is he's not omnipotent, but he's omnipresent. He can be wherever a symbiote is. But that fucks with him because he can also be whenever a symbiote is. So he can mentally travel through time, but he fucks himself because he gets into a weird time loop, and that's the story going on right now. He's in a time loop and he's fighting his future selves. So that's where Eddie Brock is. That's where Venom is, and the King in Black. And now, we're at the last thing in the timeline so far. Judgment Day. We are this up to date. Judgment Day just ended like a couple weeks ago. So, Judgment Day is the thing.
Great.
Okay, so the Eternals have those rules. Well, someone wants to fuck with those rules. And they want to, like, accumulate power. So they go like, hey, look at the mutants. Aren't the mutants just the deviants going excess? So let's kill all the mutants.
Oh.
And there's a group of Eternals who go like, we don't want to kill mutants. This is kind of fucked up. So they go talk to the Avengers and go like, hey, Avengers, we kind of can't, like, this is a law and we want to change our programming so we don't do this anymore. And the Avengers are like, yo, cool, let's do it. How can we do this? Well, the only way we can do this is if a Celestial came and reprogrammed us.
How much longer is this lecture going to be? I need to take a piss.
Not too much longer. We're pretty close to the end.
Okay, I think I can hold it.
So, the only way to change our laws is to have a Celestial reprogram us. So they go like, okay, let's just make a new Celestial. So they use a bunch of fucking superpower bullshit and revive a Celestial. So there's now a Celestial on Earth, and he goes like, y'all are bitches. Y'all are a bunch of fucking assholes. You hate each other. You're all at each other's throats. You're killing each other. This is bullshit.
You guys suck.
You guys suck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 24 hours to justify yourselves. You have to prove that you are worthy to live. That you are worthy of your own ideals. You have 24 hours, and if I find you lacking, you're done. I'm killing everything. So you go talk to a bunch of different Marvel heroes and villains, and says, like, are you worthy? And they get a bunch of different responses and everything. It's fun character interactions. And eventually the Celestial goes like, you know what? None of you are worthy. I'm killing the planet. So all the superheroes go like, fuck, I guess we gotta kill God. So there's a small team of superheroes who go through the Celestial till they get to the head, and there's a tiny Celestial in the big Celestial body, and he's just controlling everything like a shit. And they all talk to him and basically go like, yo, we can change, give us a chance, we can make things better. And the Celestial goes like, nah, no you can't. And one of them basically says like, well, I'll sacrifice myself to prove it, to give everybody a second chance. And she does. And Celestial goes like, fuck, you guys are capable of change. That means I'm wrong. And he goes like, fuck, I'm not worthy. Yes.
Isn't that also the Celestial that is the Avenger base and originally created life on Earth?
Yes.
Cool.
Though they're kind of different personalities. So, there's been one character going through it the whole time who's basically been like, we need to give the god a second chance. We need to like actually work together because she worships the Celestials. And Celestial looks up to her and goes like, am I a worthy god? And she says no. And so he goes like, all right, you're a god now. Figure that shit out. So she's now Celestial. She has all the powers of Celestial. And basically they can't fix the Eternals programming. Yes.
Who, if I'm going to start reading Marvel Comics, I assume I need to know, who is this person?
Ajax.
Selma Hayek?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She's now a Celestial god.
Good for her.
But basically, she can't reprogram the Eternals. So she takes a small group of Eternals and their own interpretations of the rules and the laws, and they go like, all right, so every day we're just going to be nice people helping each other out and try to be good. Because ultimately that's the main takeaway from the story is every day is Judgment Day. Every day is a day to prove yourself that everything is worth living for, that everything is good. You got to prove yourself every day.
So they just put the lesson of the Terminator movies, at least the good ones, in the Marvel universe.
To an extent.
Cool.
And that is current Marvel continuity. That is the end of the storyline published right now.
Are we done?
No, we have just a few more things to go.
Fuck!
They're real quick. So we have some future stories that are kind of like implied to happen that may happen in the future. We have Mephisto wins. Basically, this is why Mephisto agreed to fucking deal with Spider-Man and this bullshit. Because ultimately, Mephisto will one day take over Earth. And the only person who can stop him is either Spider-Man or Spider-Man's kid. So if he can make it so Spider-Man won't have a kid, it's that much easier for Mephisto to win. So that's why Mephisto deals with all the Spider-Man bullshit. Because he just wants to, like, make sure he can win. Because Spider-Man will be the only person who will, like, keep fighting. Okay, we also have the Age of Apocalypse. This is just a universe where Apocalypse takes over, and basically makes the mutants fucking... It's a bullshit, post-apocalyptic bullshit.
Yeah.
But it's a possible future. We also have 2099. Then in the year 2099, there are no superheroes. They have all died for some goddamn reason. It's a cyberpunk hellscape. There's corporations who control each side of America. And there's a few people who are starting to become superheroes and fight against the cyberpunk future.
Dude, that sounds totally radical, man.
Yes. So that's 2099. It's a possible future. One of the more important characters from that is Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099. He's the only people that actually care about.
What about Doom?
Doom's Doom. He's just saying Doom.
What's the fucking Doom?
Yeah. In Days of Future Past. This is a future where the giant robots that try and kill mutants take over the planet and basically subjugate all of humanity. Now, this is everything we know, but there's one thing we definitely know at the end of this universe, at the end of the 8th Cosmos, at the end of Marvel Comics as we know them. 2 people, technically 3, technically 4, will be at the end of the universe. And that is Galactus and Franklin Richards and Mr. Immortal and the Incredible Hulk. But those 2 first ones. And they will have a conversation about their memories of what happened as the universe ends and Franklin Richards becomes the new Galactus for the new universe that comes. Because that's why he was born. Is to be the new Eater of Worlds one day in the future. And that is the entirety of Marvel fucking Comics.
Yay! We did it! How fucking long was that?
I don't fucking know. Congratulations. You just listened to me talk about Marvel Comics for 3 hours and 20 minutes.
Oh my god. I had fun too. The commenters, he told me he wanted me to be a fucker, so don't get
Read
mad at me.
the comics.
Yeah, read comics, they're good.